Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Bihari Ju ki Jai. Shri Govinda Gopinath Maran Mohan Ju ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmar Bhaktiviranta Vaman Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shatarashata Shmar Bhakti Vedanta Trivikram Gosai Maharaj ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shimar Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupar Ashtatarashata Shimar Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Srila Param Gurudev ki Jai. Tadir Shubha Vyas Puja Maha Mahotsav ki Jai. Jai Nityalala Pravishtam Vishnupara Shutarashata Shishimar Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Maha Bhagavat Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki Jai. Nityalala Pravishta Vaishnav Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Rupanu Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhattadasa Gunath, Shard Gosai Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda ki Jai. Namachay Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Prem se koho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Kshetra Mandal, Gora Mandal, Braja Mandal, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki Jai. Shri Radha Kund, Shama Kund ki Jai. Shri Yamuna Devi, Ganga Devi ki Jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vinda Devi ki Jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki Jai. Shri Purnamasi Yoga Maya ki Jai. Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki Jai. Jai Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Samagat Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Hare Krishna. All right, so on this, well, let's do Mangalacharan first, and then I'll start. 1 second. Okay. Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayanitti Namine Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Odarya Madhurya Gunaishcha Yuktam Varang Varenyam Purushang Mahantam Narayanang Tvam Shirasa Namami. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Keśava Bhinna Rupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Vamaniti Namine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Ācārya Singharupine Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava iti namine. I offer pranam to the lion like Acārya, Om Vishnupad, Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. Atimartya Charitraya Swashritanang Chapaline Jiva dukhe sadartaya Shri Nama Premadayine. His character and activities are supramundane, and he protects and nurtures those who take shelter of him. He is always aggrieved to see the suffering of the living entities, and he bestows love for Sri Nam. Gaurashraya Vigrahaya Krishna Kamaikacharine Rupanuga Pravaraya Vinodeti Swarupine. He is the shelter of love for Gauranga, and his every action is solely to fulfill the desires of Sri Krishna. He is best among the followers of Srila Rupa Gosvāmī, and his internal identity is that of Sri Vinod Manjari. Prabhupadantarangaya sarvasargunashaline Mayavada tamognaya Vedantartha Vide Namaha. He is an intimate associate of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, and he is endowed with all auspicious qualities. He eradicates the darkness of Mayavad and knows the true meaning of Vedanta. I offer pranam to him. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namine Shivarshabhanavi Devi Daitai Kripabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayane Prabhave Namaha Madhuyo Jula Premadhya Shri Rupanuga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namostute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rupanuga Virudapa Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gorakishoraya Shakshad Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambar Sambhode Padambujayate Namaha Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Varayate Gauravirbhava Bhumistang Nirdeshta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannatayate Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusuti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Radha Chinta Niveshena Yasya Kantir Vilopita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Lingita Vigraham Tavai vasmi, na jivami tvaya vina, iti vigyaya devi tvang nayamang charanantikam. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay, kshiptastakama ditaranga madhye, kripa mai tvang sharanam prapanna, vrinde namaste charanaravindam. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande, Jai Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keshav Goswami Mahārāja, Śrīla Param Gurudev Ki Jai, Śrīla Param Gurudev's Vyas Puja Maha Mahotsav Ki Jai, Jai Śrīla Param Gurudev's associates, Jai Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, Śrīla Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, all his god brothers Ki Jai, all the associates of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, all the devotees celebrating this festival all over the world Ki Jai. Shnitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranams, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, Pradyumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Nitai Mukeshji, Sri Devi Didi, Anadi Krishna Prabhu, Sarveshwari Mataji, and Shivas Prabhu. Haribol. And let's see on YouTube and Facebook who has all joined. What happened? 1 second. Ganga Mataji. Oh, Manas Goswami is there. Haribol. Jai Radharaman. And Premavati Didi. Dandavat Pranams. And I see a bunch of other devotees, but nobody wrote comments. I only see 3 comments, but there are 10 devotees there on YouTube and Facebook. So pranams to all of you, and also pranams to all the devotees watching in the future. So today we have an extra on the auspicious occasion of our Param Gurudev's Vyas Puja Mahotsav. Srivas is joining us to read a series of articles that our Param Gurudev wrote. I think did he write them over like spanning 2 years, I think? Is it 24 articles or something? Srivas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, mostly 1 year of Gaudiya
Okay.
Patrikam.
Okay, so mostly 1 year. And we can see why Srila Gurudev, why our Param Gurudev is called the Ācārya Kesarī, the lion-like Acharya, defeating any opposition to our lion, especially the teachings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, the Bhakti Vinod and the teachings of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And so I thought on this day of Param Gurudev's Vyas Puja, one of the ways that I think would please him most, the way to glorify him is by um by seeing his Vani, his message, that so we can worship him with his words. um so yeah, maybe I'll hand it over to Srivas now. And okay, this program is going to be a bit longer than most of our programs, but it's if you have to go at any point, you don't need to worry about missing any of it because it's all being streamed on Srivas's YouTube channel and also my YouTube channel. So you can always come back and watch it later. If you need to leave, you don't need to worry about missing anything. And so this program will probably go on for right now it's 7:20 a.m. here in India, and it will go on maybe until 9 a.m. So and um well, I'll have to leave at 9 a.m. and if Shivas wants to continue on, he can also. Um but yeah, I have a program to go to here in Mayapur. And yeah, so I'll hand it over to Shivas now.
And if you could give me the
Oh yeah,
ability to share, I've zoomed in my screen and everything, or the document, so everyone should be able to read it. Um,
can you share now?
yeah. Well, maybe not.
Oops, sorry, I accidentally shared. Um, what's happening when you click on share?
1 second. That's a big. It just has like an exclamation mark. Let me see. Allow. Oh, I see. I have to allow this.
And also, I'm not sure, like, because it's a lot of articles. And um, so I'm not sure, Shivas, if you wanted to also like in different parts of the day today, like if you wanted to read through
Mhm.
to them, right? So
Yeah, I think I need to just leave the meeting and come back just to
okay,
reload my system. I'll be right back.
yeah, that's fine. In the meantime, uh, we can look at, let's just while we're waiting for Shivas to come back, we can read this is the Keshavacharya Ashtakam by Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Trivikram. Oh, Shivas is back. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to read the translation while Shivas gets it set up. Um, so Srila Bhaktivedanta Trivikram Goswami Maharaj, he says, I offer pranam to the lion like Acharya, Om Vishnupad Shishimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, who resolutely protects in every way the mission to fulfill the heartfelt desires of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Being non-different from Srila Saraswati Thakur, he is the cause of deliverance for fallen souls. He is more devastating than a thunderbolt in eradicating unauthorized philosophical conclusions. And we're going to see that in these articles. He is fearless in establishing the truth, and he removes all detrimental association. He is a thoroughly transcendental personality, and he nurtures with great affection those who have taken shelter of him. He is always aggrieved to see the suffering of the conditioned jivas, and he bestows prem for the glorious holy name. He is a direct manifestation of Sri Vishnu's lotus feet, and his only engagement is in fulfilling the desires of Sri Krishna. He is immersed in meditation on Sri Gauranga, and he always keeps his own guru within his heart. Okay, now Shivas can share. Perfect. Through his loving vision, he sees the presence of Vishnu everywhere. I offer pranam to Srila Gurudev, who is the embodiment of Sri Krishna's eminence. He established Sri Gauriya Vedanta Samiti, and he greatly enhanced the service to Sri Mayapur Dham. I offer pranam to Srila Gurudev, who peren, I don't actually know this word, perennially, peren,
Peren-
how do you say that?
Perennially.
Perennially, who perennially protects the parikama of Sri Navadip Dham and is forever merciful to fallen persons. O Gurudev, please bestow your mercy upon this forlorn person who always desires that mercy in all respects, so that I may remain forever immersed in meditation on your lotus feet. All right. Haribol Chatamai Mataji. All right, Shiva, so can you share now? Is it letting? Perfect.
So, just want to give a little bit of context. This article, Gurudev, he definitely, when he wrote his Prabandha Panchakam articles, he definitely he definitely extracted teachings and portions from this, and in his classes also, I've listened, and like having been familiar with this, when I listen to certain classes, I can tell he's drawing from these articles. But when I was initially translating them, even certain seniors and sannyasis in our sangha came to me and were very like a bit concerned that I shouldn't publish these things, that I shouldn't publish these essays because they're too radical, they're too much strong language, and the prevailing sentiment these days is to not rock the boat, to promote, and of course, I also want this promote, respectful dealings between Vaishnavas and Vaishnava communities. However, there is a considerable amount of whitewashing, I like to call it, that goes on, particularly in regard to Ananta Vasudeva and Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda. Param Gurudev himself, I believe, in here takes a very liberal, actually, considering what they did, which is just historical fact. I think he takes quite a mellow stance and quite a forgiving stance here. They are nowadays being presented as faultless, as part of a lila, or engaging in their own lilas.
What do they call it? Vanchana Lila, right?
Vanchana lila, so a pastime of deception. And while that may be true from some higher perspective, seen by a Mahabhagavat, for us on this platform, it's a very dangerous thing to alter history like that. These two personalities, they served Srila Saraswati Thakur tremendously well during his manifest presence. And we even read and recite pranam mantras written by them during his manifest presence. But afterwards...
I was just going to say, even the works that they did during Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada's time, like what is it, Upakyani Upadesh, and...
Even the Bhagavatam was in the beginning of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Bhagavatam. There's actually a very interesting Mangalacharan verse that indirectly, I guess, congratulates or thanks Ananta Vasudeva for the tremendous work that he did on that Bhagavatam. He was considered Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur as Ganesh, like the scribe, just as Ganesh is the scribe to Vyasadeva. And he was very expert at editing and did very flawless work. And so it very likely could be a pastime of, a Jaya and Vijay-like pastime. These pastimes, do kind of ripple through or reflect in the devotee's life. But it's important for us to, I feel it's very important for us to preserve the kind of counterpoint to all this whitewashing. When everything becomes, if they become completely flawless now in our eyes, then what they taught also becomes flawless. And so that means we would not be encouraging ourselves and others to promote loud chanting of the holy name. We would be saying that Bhagavatam is an Advaitavad scripture, that Mahaprabhu was an Advaitavad sannyasi, that, so it's like actually very dangerous direction to go in. So for that reason, I believe it's important to serve this Vani of Srila Param Gurudev and have it resonate in the world. This is a counterpoint to everything else. And this is actually pretty just grounded presentation of what they did and their philosophical deviations. And so Param Gurudev is the protector. He's the lion, Ācārya. And this is very much, you'll see things in here where he literally demonizes them. And this is part of a larger tradition of the Madhva Sampradaya in opposing Mayavad. We were talking about what's it called? Mani Manjari just a few weeks ago. And the same thing is done there. But it's not a blanket, it's more of a poetic thing, that it's not so much judging the personality as judging what they've done. So, it's demonizing Mayavad, which is a demoniac mentality. It's not demonizing the soul for all eternity. We don't have that vision. We see that all souls are eternally servants of Krishna. Even there's statements that say how Kamsa personalities like Kamsa, they're so against serving Krishna, but when they merge into his effulgence, just like Shishupal, when the descriptions are that their souls were seen coming out and merging into Krishna's feet, that also is a service. This is described in the commentaries, I believe, Vishnu Sri Thakur, that the soul cannot help but serve Krishna, even if they're completely antagonistic to Krishna. That little bit of jyoti or light of their soul merges into the Brahma Jyoti and enhances the Brahma Jyoti. In that way, serving, just their very being, it's like, how poetic is that the light of their souls lends to that light, or comes back to that light. This is a part of a larger tradition of countering Mayavad, which has been very oppressive and very violent to Vaishnavas. And so it's important to protect the facts of history, because when they win, they also rewrite history. And they are not above using devious tactics, treachery, and deception. So we must stand up and boldly and clearly call them out for what they're doing, which is demoniac. So with that
And this is all
disclaimer,
and this is all a manifestation of Param Gurudev's complete extreme Guru Nishta and his love for Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, right? And he's giving us an example that if we see the message of our Guru Maharaj being challenged in any way, disciple doesn't just like, oh, well, whatever, everybody's entitled to their opinions and stuff like that, like, no, if somebody actually has real love for their Guru Maharaj, then, this is the example, right? Right.
Yeah. Hanuman burnt Lanka to the ground and then came back with all of his friends and Ramchandra and decimated the Rakshasa race. Bhim killed all of the Kauravas. And I believe Param Gurudev is an incarnation of that same energy. This is not something Gurudev would speak, because he's absorbed in seeing Param Gurudev as Shri Vinod Manjari. But I don't have that vision. What I can see is Param Gurudev left on Murari Gupta's disappearance day. Murari Gupta is an incarnation of Hanuman. And Param Gurudev has that same fierce, unapologetic approach to this Mayavad, and which is what Madhvacharya fought in his 3 incarnations. So there's some connection there. Okay, so Param Gurudev starts out with a lengthy Mangalacharan. The first chapter is basically a Mangalacharan, an explanation of why he's writing. The second is an in-depth study of Mangalacharan and the importance of Mangalacharan. So Mangalacharan is very important.
Could you make your screen full screen, the window full screen?
Okay.
Cool.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's perfect.
And the size is okay?
Yes.
Okay. So, Vandeham Shri Guru Śrīyūta Sundarānanda Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitansham. So there's a little footnote from Srila Bhaktivedanta Vāman Gosvāmī Mahārāja, who was doing all the printing of the Gaudiya Patrika at that time. The author, Paramhansa Swami Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja, outlines the subject of this Acintya-bhedābheda book in this Mangalacharan verse and several concluding invocation verses of his own composition. And alongside that, he is establishing the Gaudiya Vaishnava followers of Srimad Mahaprabhu are followers of the Sri Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So I venerate the Śrīmad, divine and beautiful lotus feet of the Sri Mantra Diksha Guru and Bhajan Shiksha Guru of the Guru Varga, the Param and Parakpar Gurus headed by Śrīmad Ananda Tirtha and Śrīmad Madhavendra Puri. Of the Bhagavatas of the 4 Yugas, and Rupa's elder brother Śrīmad Sanatana Gosvāmī, of Sri Rupa Gosvāmī, of his intimate follower Sri Raghunath Das Goswami, and of his specially favored Sri Jiva Goswami, and of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, accompanied by his associates, headed by Sri Advaita and the Avadut Sri Nityananda Prabhu. I then bow before the lotus feet of the Manjaris and Sakhis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka, as they accompany Shri Radha and Krishna. And there's a note that this is translated in accordance with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's translation in his Chaitanya Charitamrita commentary. Namayam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Iti Namini Shri Varshabhanavi Devi Daitaya Kripabdayi Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Dayine Prabhave Madhuryo Jala Premaya Shri Rupanuga Bhakti Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastute Namaste Gauravani Shri Murte Dinatarini Rupanuga Viruddhapa Siddhanta Dhanta Harini. So the very fact that Param Gurudev has included these 3 verses or 4 verses in the beginning of his Mangalacharan here speaks to his transcendental, non-judgmental vision, because these were composed by Śrīmad Ananta Vasudev. And so first thing he does is include these prayers that he wrote for Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, accepting with one hand, accepting the service he did for Srila Prabhupada, and with the other hand, chastising him for his deviations. So, I bow to he who is the dearly beloved of Krishna, Om Vishnupad Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, who is renowned throughout the world by this name. He is an ocean of mercy, replete with all the potency to bestow scientific knowledge of relationship with Krishna, and who is very dear to Varshabhanavi Shri Radharani. I bow to he who is the bestower of Madhurya Ujjala Prem Bhakti in the line of Sri Rupa, and who is the personified form of Sri Gaur Sundar's energy of compassion, Karuna Shakti. I offer my obeisances to him, that Jagaguru Srila Saraswati Prabhupada, who is the Vani Vigraha, or personification of Sri Gaur Sundar's holy message, the deliverer of the fallen, and who removes the darkness of the misconceptions that oppose the Rupanuga tradition, the Achint, and here Param Gurudev clarifies, the Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda Siddhanta, or conclusive philosophy approved by the Brahma-madhva Gauriya Vaishnavas. You know, it's interestingly, though the Dvaitas, the Madhva Vaishnavas, though they preach Dvaitavad, they take and they give special deference to certain acharyas like Bhaskar, who was a contemporary of Shankaracharya, who preached Bhedabhed. So there is, even within the Dvaita tradition, there is a precedent of this Bhedabhed Siddhanta. Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Bharayate. I offer my obeisance to Satchidananda Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, who is the personality of Gaur Sundar's intrinsic potency and revered by the Vaishnavas who are followers of Sri Rupa Goswāmī. Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Sangstapako. So here Param Gurudev, he composes his own pranam to the 6 Goswamis by taking from 3 different verses of the Shad Goswami Ashtakam, and not in order, from verse 2, from verse 4, and verse 3. So this is his choice selections from the Shad Goswami Ashtakam. So Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Sangstapako Bhutva Dina Ganeshako Karunaya Kopina Kantashito Anandam Buddhi Bhardanaika Nipuno Kaivalya Nistarako Vande Rupa Sanatana Urugu Yugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. I offer my obeisance unto those Goswamis, namely Sri Rupa, Sri Sanatan, Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, Raghunath Das, and Sri Jiva, who are supremely expert at deliberating various scriptures. and who are establishers of true dharma, who mercifully became the protectors of the fallen and destitute, donning kopin, loincloth, and kanta, simple outer garment, who are extremely expert at expanding the ocean of bliss, and who are protectors of all jivas, saving them from kaivalya, mukti, impersonal liberation. So this establishes the Gosvāmī as expert deliberators on Shastra, as renounced Paramahamsa Tyagis, and then Anandamburi, that they enhance the joy, the presence of Ananda, and remove this threat of Kaivalya, extreme monism. Jayo Navat Pradipa Swabhava Pashanda Gajaika Singha Swanama Shiksha Javasutradhari Chaitanya Chandro Bhagavan Murari. So it seems this the authorship of this verse is unknown, very common. Umadidi used to recite this.
It's also in Chaitanya Bhagavat, but it yeah.
Okay. It could have been quoted from somebody else. Glory be to Bhagavan Murari Sri Chaitanya Chandra, who is the fresh, bright flame of Navadvip, who by nature is like a lion subduing the multitudes of heretics and hypocrites. He teaches the performance of loud kirtan of the 16 named Taraka Brahmanam. Asankhya, without counting its recitations, and also carries a rosary of knotted cloth for the japa of Mahamantra. These are a little bit, the translation here elaborates a little bit from what is said in the verse. Yasya prabha prabhavato jagadandra kotishvashesha vasudhadhi vibhuti binnam tad brahma nishkalamanantam ashesha bhutam govindam adi purushantamaham bhajami. I worship the original person, Govinda, whose effulgence produces or suffuses the indivisible, ceaseless, infinite Brahm, which is distinct from the infinite splendor or opulence of infinite Vasudha, habitable planets within millions and millions of material universes. Millions. Janmadhyasya yato anvayad itaratashchartesya vigyasvarat tene brahmarirayadi kavaye moyanti yat suraya tejo bari mridam yatha vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuvakam satyam paramadhimahi. The genesis, stasis, and annihilation of this world is affected by that Supreme Lord in direct and indirect ways. That Supreme Lord is fully cognizant of his agency over the world. Within him exists self-evident knowledge itself, and he has initiated the intelligence of the original poet, Brahma, thereby manifesting tattva vastu via the mind. Indra and other demigods are bewildered by the Supreme Lord, just as fire, water, and earth are perceived to truly be one or another of those same elements. Likewise, although they're all emanating directly from the Supreme Lord, though the material modes of sattva, raja, and tamo appear to truly be present within that Supreme Lord, in reality, it is impossible for any sort of material function to exist within him. Never is there any foothold of deceit in that Supreme Person. We meditate on that Supreme Lord, who is characterized by the form of absolute truth. Okay, and then this is a very beautiful verse from Śrīmad Ācārya's Dvadasha Stotra, quoted frequently to support how Madhvacharya wasn't just worshipping Rukmini, Raman, Dwarkadish, Krishna, but actually in the verse previous to this in his Dvadash Stotra, he references Dwarkadish Krishna, the friend of the Pandavas, the beloved of Rukmini, in a separate verse. And then he writes a separate verse for Nandanandan, Brajendra Nandan, Shyamsundar Krishna. So this tradition of distinguishing between the forms of Krishna and the Prakosht, so the dimensions of the Dham, is established by Madhvacharya himself. So, Devaki Nandana Nanda Kumara Vrindavan Anchan Gokula Chandra Kanda Falashana Sundara Rupa Nandita Gokula Vandita Pada. O son of Yashoda, who is known as Devaki. Yashoda Maya is also known as Devaki. O son of Nanda Maharaj, you who play in Vrindavan, moon of Gokul, eater of Khanda fruit, is a very big root that you sometimes will see on Govardhan Parikrama. A rare, huge, sweet, nutritious root of a type of agave, a type of it's like a type of cactus root that grows around Govardhan, whose form is so very beautiful, who delights Gokul, who is venerated by all. I bow to you. And then this is from Jiva Gosvāmī. Yasya brahmeti sangyam kvachidapi nigame yati chinmatra satta pya angsho yasyangshakai swairabhivavati vashayaneva mayam pumangscha ekam yasyeva rupam vilasati param vyomni narayanakyam sa Shri Krishna vidattam swayamiha bhagavan prema tatpada bhajam. Tattva Sandarbha 8. In some places in the Vedas, just the existential feature of his chit aspect is referred to as Brahm. His portional expansion as the Purusha dominates the illusory energy of Maya and manifests a pastime of majesty throughout his expansion. So this material manifestation is one of his vaibhavas. His form, known as Narayan, sports in the spiritual sky, Paravyam. May that original Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, offer prem for him to those who perform bhajan of his sacred feet. And Param Gurdev specifies which edition of Tattva Sandarbha this is from. Sri Satyananda Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha. Yadadvaitam Brahmapanishadi tadapyasya tanubhaya atmantaryami purush etisoy syangsha vibhavam Sadaishwarya Purno Yahya Bhagavan Saswayamayam Na Chaitanya Krishna Jagati Paratattvam Paramiha. So from Chaitanya Charitamrita. What the Upanishads refer to as Advaita Brahma, or the non-differentiated divinity, is the bodily splendor of my Prabhu. He who is referred to in the yoga scriptures as the Antaryami Purush, immanent person, or Paramatma, is the portional expansion of my Prabhu. He who is referred to as Bhagavan, who is the refuge and source of Brahm and Paramatma, and who is replete with all six opulences of divinity, is my Prabhu, Swayam Bhagavan, Shri Krishna Chaitanya. And that translation is from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is then from Baladev Vidyabhushan Prabhu. Satyananta Chintya Shaktyeka Pakshe Sarvadhyakshi Bhakti Rakshati Dakshi Shri Govinde Vishvasargadikande Purananande Nityamastam. The one truth, the infinite, the possessor of inconceivable potency, the controller of all, most expert in protecting the devotees, the root of heavenly planets and all material universes, and the form of total bliss. May that Sri Govinda remain forever within my consciousness. Vishvasargadikande, the root of all. Then these are the verses from Sri Radhavinobihe-tattvashtakam 3, 4, 6, 7, and 8. Chillila mitunam titvam bheda bhedam achintakam shakti shakti matoraikyam yoga. But the Bhaktate Sada, okay, that looks like a mistake. Tattvamekam param vidya leelaya tadvidastitam gaura krishna swayam hi etad bhavu bhayam apnatah saguna nirgunam tattvamekam eva titiyakam sarvanitya gunir krishna rasas nirgunai Shri Krishnam mitanam brahma taktatu nirgunam hitat upasate mrisha vigya yatha dushabhaghatina Shri Bihariyo Radhaya Milito Yada Tadaham Bandhanam Kurya Saraswati Prasadataha. I think this is significant here, that we generally think of Shri Radhavinobihe-tattvashtakam as, or at least I think of it as something very rasic, but it is also very much tattva siddhanta, harsh, hardcore tattva siddhanta, combating any sort of Mayavad, Advaitavad. So the twin principles of divine interplay, Chil, Lila, Mithuna Tattva, The unified form of Shakti and Shaktiman, divine energy and its possessor, are situated together for all eternal time in a way that is inconceivably one and different. So when we look at Radha and Krishna in our temples that have this same color, this is actually, Brahmagurita is presenting the purest form of Advaita, the purest form of Abheda, of oneness. The pure version needs to be presented and absorbed and worshipped in a personal way, in a sweet way, in order to save us from that spiritual suicide of Kaivalya or Kevala-dvaita-vāda. In other words, the Paratattva Vastu, the reality that comprises the supreme principle, is never deprived of potency. In that tattva, Shakti and Shaktiman exist eternally as one. They are fully conscious, Purana Chetanamaya. They are the topmost personality that embodies divine interaction, Lila Purushottam. They are the twin epitome, Swayam Mituna Vigraha, or the combined form of male and female, Shakti and Shaktiman, or Purush and Prakriti, but in the ultimate sense. That Mituna Vigraha is Sri Radha Krishna, or Sri Gaura Tattva, because Mahaprabhu is the combination of them both. So that Radha Krishna Mahaprabhu, the three forms that we are seeing are actually one, Gaura Tattva. We're worshipping actually Gaura Tattva. Within them, these two contradictory functions of difference and non-difference are eternally extant, means existent, by effect of their inconceivable potency. Know that Paratattva is one, but that one Vastu is situated in two variations by the influence of Lila. So just because of Lila, we see two sides. As is the case with Sri Gaur and Sri Krishna. They are themselves that Tattva Vastu. They are Brahm, Bhagavan, Parama, they are all that. Which is to say, Sri Gaura is Krishna himself. And both of them achieve, this was such a difficult sentence to translate, or phrase to translate in the Bengali, which is to say, they achieve a mutuality, all right, a dvitva, a bothness. Both of them have bothness. So Gaura is manifested as Krishna and as Gaura, and Krishna is manifested as Krishna and as Gaura. So there's two sets of doubleness going on at the same time. It's a lot of doubleness. It's a little bit Acintya. In other words, Sri Gaura Sundar becomes Krishna Sundar, and Krishna Sundar also becomes Gaura Sundar. I don't hear Krishna Sundar very often, but I really like it. Saguna and Nirguna Tattva are one and non-dual. Sri Gaura Sundar is Rasa Swarup. So that the Mayavadis try to say that Brahma, or Bhagavan's manifestation in this material world, is Saguna Brahma. Right? But this is not transcendental Saguna Brahma. This is, they try to say it's material Saguna Brahma. That some portion of the infinite, indivisible Brahman comes, a larger portion compared to us, comes and incarnates as Bhagavan. It's completely illogical. It goes against actually all their fundamental tenets of Siddhanta. Sri Gaura Sundar is Rasa Swarup, the embodiment of rasa, via the aggregation of all eternal sadguna, or transcendental qualities. Whereas Sri Krishna, in the nirguna aspect, in the absence of all guna or material designations, is the Rasa Swarup. In other words, that Vastu is rasa itself. So this is very interesting. So the Mayavadis try to bring this concept of saguna and nirguna into, and divide it, make this dichotomy that nirguna is only transcendental and saguna is only material. Param Gurudev here is refining this so very clearly for us, saying that both these saguna and nirguna aspects of the tattva vastu exist in the transcendental realm, and they're both personal. It's not that in the transcendental realm, the nirguna aspect is also just the Brahmajyoti. No. So the saguna or sadguna aspect is Sri Gaura Sundar, personified as Sri Gaura Sundar, and the nirguna aspect is personified as Sri Krishna. And that means simply that Sri Krishna is the Vishay Vigraha. He is the He is like the dark star, like the black hole, drawing everything into it, enjoying everything, all enjoying. He's the Vishaya Vigraha. Whereas Sri Gaurasundar, that same tattva, absorbed in the Ācārya Vigraha mode and containing everything. Paramaguna talks about that, about the light, the differences of the white light and the dark. So rasa is nirguna and aprakrit or supramundane. It is never conditioned by material qualities. Shri Krishna or Gaura is the Mithuna Brahma. Discarding him or his bhajan, the false jnanis. The Mayavadis are not true jnanis. The false jnanis are ignorant persons, worship the nirguna impersonal Brahma like people thrashing empty husks. In other words, just as people thrashing empty husks in the hope of reaping rice grains simply engage in futile toil, the jnanis give up Krishna's service and willfully accept futile worship of nirguna Brahma. In other words, such endeavor will never lead to real moksha. When Sri Vinod Bihari Krishna meets with Sri Radha, then, by the mercy of Srila Saraswati, by the mercy of the author Sri Gurudev, I then propitiate and glorify them in this manner. So his vision is also very intimate and rasic. And he's seen that, and I think we read that verse from the Vande Mahapurusha Te Charanarvindam verses, where Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is very clearly making this extraordinary distinction that Mahaprabhu is not just, when he is in the mood of a devotee or in the mood of the gopis or in the mood of Radharani, he's not just remembering or worshipping that dark complexion Krishna who is enjoying everything. No, he is worshipping that Krishna who is already turned golden, who has already turned golden in separation from Srimati Radharani. That is how he becomes golden. He's focusing on the part of him that is already becoming like Radharani, already going into her mood, already taking a mood of service, wanting to serve Radharani, becoming golden. So even this Krishna who is in Seva Kunj, this painting of Shamrani Deity, this Smara Garala Khandanam, even though he's bluish in there, but this actually Krishna in Seva Kunj, this our Ishtadev is this Gaura Tattva aspect of Sri Krishna. Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, this is by Param Gurudev, and this has a double meaning. Acintya-Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Daityanam Dalanam Vande Gosvāmī. I venerate Śrīmad Bhagavatam and the scriptures that follow its guidance as expressions of pure delight in the holy message of Śrīmad Mahaprabhu, who embodies triumph over the demons who are inimical to the infinite, beautiful embodiments of bliss, Sri Hari and Guru. So Sri Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas are non-different. So, and then the alternative translation of this, provided in the Bengali itself. Alternatively, I venerate Srila Gaura Kishore. Gaura Kishore Das Bhakti is considered to embody Sambandha Tattva. The Varni itself, or Srila Saraswati Thakur, which is the Abhidheya Tattva for us, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who is the Prayojan Tattva for us, who are the personifications of the demolishment of Ananta Vasudeva, and the writer of Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda and other books, Sundarānanda, as well as Haridas Babaji of Navadip's Haribol Kutir, and other demonic antagonists of my Guru. So that is his Mangalacharan. And now he is going to talk about why he started writing this series. Inspiration for this essay. It is with great sadness that I confess that some days ago I became particularly pained at heart, because who wants to be particularly pained at heart, upon reading a book titled Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda. The author of this book is Śrīyūta Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda. This writer has written 2 other books with a similar aim, namely Gaudiya Darshanar Itihas or Vaishishya, And Gaudiya Teen Thakur. Gaudiya Darshan is almost 500 pages, and Gaudiya Teen Thakur concludes at just over 600. Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda is almost 400 pages, including the appendix. Although externally these three look like three different titles, they are one book at root. They have some rudimentary differences which are not worthy of mention at present. The purpose and subject of these three books is one and the same at the root. Therefore, of these three books, I have at present set about a critical review of only Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda. Because if this book is critiqued, no separate or extensive critique of the other two books will be necessary. Although the author's writing and collection of historical information from various places is occasionally praiseworthy, he's being very generous, I believe. What I intend by critiquing this Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book is to thoroughly refute it. Last year, 6th of Posh, 1363 Bangabda, 21st of December, 1956, Friday, while delivering a lecture on the occasion of Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Thakur's disappearance day during a special conference of the Sri Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti at Chunchura's Sri Udharan Gaudiya Math, I conveyed before everyone present something of a refutation related to the aforementioned three books. In this book, Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja has tried to prove that Śrīmad Bhagavatam is Advayavadi, monist, and Kaivalya, impersonal liberation, is its only prayojan or objective, which is to say that Acintya-bhedābheda is not the philosophy of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. Chirandi Swami Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Vaman Mahārāja has published the aforementioned refutational speech in the monthly Sri Gaudiya Patrika, 8th year, 12th issue, pages 462 to 470, and an article with the heading Srila Ācārya Devar Bhaktrita. So we can read the excerpt of that article. It's quite short, actually, before we go on, and see if I can zoom in on this. I didn't think about this. I didn't think about the footnotes here. Maybe I'll just increase the font size here. Okay. So this is from Param Gurudev's lecture in Chinchura. Ananta Vasudeva and Sundarānanda were not able to grasp even a drop of Srila Prabhupada's katha. Though they stayed in Srila Prabhupada's proximity, they were so far away that the extent of their distance from him cannot even be determined. We are seeing that their fate is a much more wretched, detestable, and repugnant fate than befell Kala Krishnadas, despite his living with Sriman Mahaprabhu. Another example of living with an exalted personality, but still not being able to grasp their teachings. But still, Kala Krishnadas, he was forgiven somewhat and sent by the devotees to Navadvip to tell that Mahaprabhu had returned from South India. So what more degraded fate can there be for a man than Guru Drohita, or bearing malice towards one's own Guru? One does not become a Guru Sevak just by staying in the proximity of Srila Gurupada Padma. Srila Prabhupada has shown us the example of this through the character of these two Danavas. Sundarānanda has created a world of mess by writing three books entitled Gaudiya Teen Thakur, Acintya-bhedābheda, and Gaudiya Darshan and Itihas. With these three books, an arrow has been shot into the chests of Sriman Mahaprabhu and Sri Rupa Gosvāmī. These three books are three spears, or a trident. With these, the immaculate flow of Gaudiya Vaishnava thought has been killed. It's a very strong statement from Param Gurudev, that if you are getting influenced by these conceptions, which are actually quite a bit out there and being recited throughout various so-called Gaudiya Vaishnava communities, the actual flow, the actual dhara, Bhakti dhara, will be killed. It's something that's alive. but it can also be it can be prevented from coming in our hearts, from appearing in our hearts, and in that way effectively killed. This trident has been created from the venomous seed of the intent to kill Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas. It's the thing about Mayavad. Ravan is trying to kill Ram. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha are trying to kill Vishnu. Even though there is associates and it's all a pastime, when they are in their incarnations, it's very real malice. So this trident has been created from that same seed. We will gradually discuss these three books. He has also written another book titled Mahamantra that is full of heresy. Therein he has forbidden the loud kirtan of the Harinam Mahamantra. We have resolved not to pass judgment on such daityas and danavas during the age of Kali. See, we're not supposed to, okay. But as we proceed to discuss the life of Srila Prabhupada, we are being reminded on his disappearance day of just what sort of daityas and danavas have been created in the world in his absence. So that's a very interesting point also, that Mahaprabhu's pastime was full of mercy and compassion, okay, forgiving Jagai Madhai. Srila Prabhupada's pastimes also were very merciful. I believe he's implying, he was so merciful to accept Sundarananda and Ananta Vasudeva and rectify them during his presence. But now, in his absence, in his viraha, things are different. Their demoniac natures have surfaced again. So then without Prabhupada and without Mahaprabhu, we can't be as merciful. We have to be a bit discerning. We cannot be, because Mahaprabhu and Prabhupada are not there to, or Gurudev, like, for example, like Gurudev is not there to rectify someone. We have to protect ourselves, we have to be discerning. In the age of Kali, the one path to deliverance is the loud kirtan of Mahamantra. Vasudeva and Sundarananda are antagonists of Sri Nama Kirtan. The 16-name, 32-syllable mantra is forever and in every respect kirtaniya, to be sung in a loud voice, while keeping track of a fixed number of daily recitations, sankyat, and going beyond that, not keeping track due to deep absorption, asankyat. This is the current of Sri Rupa's followers and those of Bhakti-Vinod, and this is Srila Prabhupada's teaching as well. These two daityas have joined forces and crafted a trident whereby they have tried to prove that Śrīmad Bhagavatam is Advaivadi and Kaivalya is its only objective, and that Acintya-bhedābheda is not the philosophy of Śrīmad Bhagavatam. They have used the statement Yad Jnanam Advayam not to convey Acintya-bhedābheda, but rather Advayatva, non-dualism. With the statement Kaivalyaika Prayojanam, they have tried to establish that Krishna Prema is not the ultimate goal, but rather that Kaivalya is. We, under the guidance of Mahaprabhu, know Śrīmad Bhagavatam sheds light on Acintya-bhedābheda tattva, and we accept that Krishna Prema is the only Prayojan. These two Danavas, two fake ascetics that they are, have committed offenses at the feet of the crest jewel of supremely liberated Acharyas, the ocean of mercy, Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan, and have thus chosen to be demoniac. I was just reading how, and this is very clear from the first issue of Gaudiya Patrika, Parama Gurudev actually, he puts a signature, Srila Prabhupada's signature, and he subtitles it, signature of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sri Thakur, the non-different manifestation of Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan. So Gurudev was saying that Param Gurudev would glorify Srila Prabhupada like this, that Srila Prabhupada was the embodiment of all the previous acharyas, of Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbaditya. So that Prabhupada was the embodiment of the four Vaishnavacharyas, as well as Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, all the six Goswamis, as well as Vishnu Sri Thakur, he was also Rasik, and also Baladev Vidyabhushan. So Param Gurudev used to glorify Prabhupada like this, that he is the combination, the embodiment of all those acharyas. So yeah, they've directly attacked Baladev Vidyabhushan. which is in a way attacking Srila Saraswati Thakur himself, and have thus chosen to be demoniac. They've chosen this. We are witnessing in them a degradation like that of the Prakrita Sahajiyas. Srila Baladeva Vidyabhushan is the ultimate guardian of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Even remembering the Pashanda heretics who commit offenses at his feet will result in total ruin. I feel like this Gurudev followed this instruction quite well. He really didn't mention these personalities at all. It's actually better not to remember them. It's better to move on. But when people are promoting their philosophies and their personalities, I feel we have to come back to this, to these teachings of Param Gurudev, this body of Param Gurudev. So it's an interesting time that we live in. Okay. Okay. Let me just find where I am now. Pages 460. So this is back to the original text. Pages 465 and 466 therein are especially worth deliberation. Several of my truth-seeking and intellectually keen friends read this article and encouraged me with special delight to deliver an extensive refutation of those books. It's my suspicion that Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada was one of those persons that Param Gurudev is referring to. So he was encouraged by Prabhupada, our Prabhupada. And they conveyed a request to shed light on what the real Acintya-bhedābheda tattva is. I am writing this article in order to fulfill their and other various devotees' desires and to shed light on the real philosophical truths of the Gaudiya Vaishnava world. And because I know this engagement to be the best service I can render to Guru, I hope that the esteemed readers will peruse this with steady focus and be able to become acquainted with the real facts of Acintya-bhedābheda. And now we come to the second. So that was one chapter. And now we come to the second chapter. So, this chapter opens with some just kind of matter-of-fact introduction to who these three people are, what their history is. And I believe Param Gurudev has been very, very matter-of-fact and very compassionate. Ananta Vasudev, Puridas Swami. So when you see the question mark in the parentheses, this is kind of like an indication of sarcasm. It's kind of like Swami, what kind of Swami? So Ananta Vasudev, Puridas Swami, question mark. Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda and Haridas Babaji of Navadvip have come together and conspired to antagonize the Śrīmad Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are followers of Śrīmad Mahaprabhu. It is necessary to briefly say a few words about these conspirators. Sundarānanda. First of all, I am providing an introduction to the author of the Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book, Śrī Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja. Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja took birth in East Bengal, in the Malakar Tola area of Dhaka city, in a renowned Saha Vaishya merchant family. His father was the late Rajendra Kumar Rai, and his mother, the late Yamini Sundari Dasi. The name Sundarananda's father gave him was Sri Subodha Chandra Saha Rai. Subodha Babu's ancestors led their religious lives in the disciplic succession of a caste Gosvāmī who belonged to one of the 13 Sahajiya Apasampradayas. Subodha Babu got married while still a student, completing his material education. His wife's name is Srimati Tilotama. Srimati Tilotama is the only daughter of her father Gokul Chandra. Her mother's name was Gyanadat Sundari Dasi. But Param Gurudev really knew these people. He knew their family members. He knew where they came from. This is a factual account. This is not some glorified, effusive thing written by somebody who never knew them, some sort of fanatic who never knew them, years later. Her mother's name was, again, Sundarasi. Gokul Babu, that's Sundarananda's father, had his residence in the Murshidabad city of West Bengal. Due to a variety of unfortunate events, Subodh Babu's father, Rajan Babu, his father was Gokul, no? Where did this? Oh no, that's her father, Gokul. Okay, so his wife's father, okay. So due to a variety of unfortunate events, Subodh Babu's father, Brajen Babu, was deeply in debt and sought the aid of his son's father-in-law, Gokul Babu, who paid off a considerable portion of Brajen Babu's debt. So Paramguru, he is also presenting here, this is why I believe he's being very merciful. He's showing like why Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda acted the way he did. That there were pressing financial strains on him throughout his life. And so he had to be a writer. And sometimes he had to, he basically, Paramguru points out how he changes his tune frequently. Throughout his career as a writer, you see contradictions between his earlier writings and later writings, and that he had to change his tune often because he was a paid writer. Subodh Babu, after completing his BA at university, was released from the jaws of the Prakrit Sahajiya lineage by the Honorable Tridandi Swami Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Pradeep Tirtha Mahārāja. And he made an act of receiving the grace of Jagadguru Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Swami Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Gradually, as he frequented the world-renowned Sri Gaudiya Math, he became deeply acquainted with the current of Vaishnava philosophical conclusions, its conceptual reasoning, and logics. After some time, he was engaged in the position of editor for Sri Gaudiya Math's main publication, the weekly Gaudiya magazine. During the period that he was the editor of this magazine, by the grace of Jagadguru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he propagated the Siddhanta tenets of Gaudiya Vaishnavas who adhere one-pointedly to the guidance of Srimad Mahaprabhu. After some time, he gave up his material life and accepted Vanaprastha, leading a monastic lifestyle. Subodh Babu was also his father's only son. Reminded of his father's lack of wealth and severe debt, and overcome by a weakness of heart, he fled the Gaudiya Math without informing anyone. So there was trouble at home. His father was struggling. This is enough for any condition to make any condition so buckle under the pressure of. So at one point he left the Math. Thereafter, taking what he had learned in the Gaudiya Math, he accepted a job at the Indian press in Allahabad for a wage of 75. I'm not sure what, I think is that per year or per month. When the manager of the Gaudiya Math, Śrīyūta Kunja-Bihari Vidyabhushan, found out about Sundarananda's dire financial situation, then because of his natural fondness for someone of the same caste, and to accomplish a far-off future purpose of his own, he made an arrangement for Sundarananda's monthly remuneration and helped him get out of debt after roughly a year. Till then, I need to add this, Sundarananda lived in the Math and was engaged in Kunja Babu's service. After Subodh Babu received Diksha, he became Sundarananda and ultimately was decorated with the title Vidyāvinoda, becoming known thus as Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda. Gradually, he preferred to hide his previous name and title, and the fact he was born to a Saha merchant family that was in the business of selling alcohol, and used the name his guru had given him to boost his prestige. That said, so Paramguru isn't just saying that just to slander him. He's also presenting a psychology that there's a psychological kind of motivation there. So a merchant family who is selling something like alcohol, generally, I mean, they do it for the money, obviously. And in society, they're generally not seen, they're not appreciated so much in society as somebody who's, say, selling, vegetables or incense or something, more positive. Because they're selling something that people buy and, or spend all their money on and get drunk and cause chaos in society. Those merchant families are also a little bit despised. So that he's coming from a tough, he's got a tough kind of family background to come from, with certain, things weighing on his conscience or his mind. That said, it is the duty of the Guru Sevak to introduce himself only by the name his Guru has given. At present, Subodh Babu has in every way completely severed his ties with his world-renowned Jagat Guru, one who is both dearly beloved to Krishna and non-different from him, as the Paratattva, absolute truth, worshipped by hosts of exalted, liberated personalities. But till this day, Subodh Babu deceives the world by selling the name that exalted personality gave him, refusing to give up the thirst he has for gathering prestige. This is pretty interesting. If you're going to go against Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, if you're going to undermine him, and you're going to write books saying that basically what he presented was wrong, why wouldn't you, really? Why wouldn't you, if you had some integrity, why wouldn't you give up the name that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur gave you and go back to your old name? It's a very clear point Param Guru is making. Why did he keep the name Prabhupada gave him if he was going to go against Prabhupada and everything? That shows lack of character. Though we have witnessed firsthand his malice towards Guru and Vaishnavas, it is in the text of his Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda that such malice is refulgent and on full display, like the constellations on a dark moon night. Like Param Gurudev seems from this, seems willing to forgive whatever negative personal interactions he had with Sundarananda. But what he's reading in this text for Param Gurudev is his malice refulgent and on full display. We will expose the fact of this in the various Siddhantas chapters of this Acintya-bhedābheda book. Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja is now no longer the Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda of old. Śrīyūta Sundarānanda Gosvāmī has said in Hari Bhakti Vilas, Yatha kanchanatam yati kanksyam rasa vidhanataha tata diksha vidhanena dvijattam jayate nranam. Just as bell metal is turned to gold by the application of mercury, a person can attain the status of a Brahmin by the process of diksha. Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja once carried this quotation from Hari Bhakti Vilas atop his head with utmost regard, and as per the orders of his Guru Pada Padma, underwent the Upanayan Sanskar after accepting Diksha. Now, because he has given that up, he has reverted back to being a Saha merchant. Even though he has not started a liquor business like the Saha vintners, he has filled himself up with the intoxicant of malice toward his Guru. And thereby he has become deprived of knowledge and forgotten himself. Therefore, we will only refer to him as Subodh Babu or Saha Babu in certain places. If one studies the teachings of Śrīmad Mahaprabhu, one learns the following. Arshe Vishnu Shiladhir Gurushu Narmatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhir Vishnurva Vaishnavanam Kalimalamatane Padatirthem Buddhi Shri Vishnur Namni Mantre Sakala Kalushahe Shabda Samanya Buddhir Vishnu Sarveshwareshe Taditar Samadhir Yasyava Naraki Saha. That person who thinks the worshipful deity is a chunk of stone or wood, who thinks Gurudev is an ordinary mortal, who judges pure devotees by their caste, who thinks the nectareous water that has washed the feet of Vishnu or the Vaishnavas is ordinary water, who thinks the name and mantra of Vishnu, who removes all degradation, are ordinary sounds, and who thinks that other demigods are equal to the Supreme Lord Vishnu, such a person is a Naraki, or someone barreling towards hell. Someone who is a Naraki can never be called a Vaishnava. This is especially the case when someone tries to lead a religious life after regarding their supremely liberated Gurudev as mortal and discarding him. Such a person can never be considered a Vaishnava. Though it is considered an aparad to judge a Vaishnava by their caste, we have been compelled to share what background Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja belonged to. Because he abandoned Vishnupad, Sakshat Guru Pada Padma Srila Prabhupada, he has made his conduct and conceptions unacceptable. We learn from the words of Padma Puran, quoted in the first Vilas of Hari Bhakti Vilas, who a Vaishnava is. Change this to section. So Param Gurudev, I believe, he's been very, very even-handed, but sticking to his principles. No compromise of character. How can we trust someone who will compromise their character? Grihita Vishnu Dikshako Vishnu Puja Paro Naram Vaishnavo Bihito Vigyar Itaros Mada Vaishnavaham. In other words, those acquainted with scripture deem that only one who has received Diksha initiation into the practice of a Vishnu mantra and is inclined to the worship of Vishnu via this mantra is to be called a Vaishnava. So it's not just that you've been initiated into the Vishnu mantra, but you're also paro, you're also inclined to still be worshipping. If you've lost that inclination to worship Vishnu, then you can't be considered a Vaishnava, even if you received initiation. Everyone else, or in other words, persons who give up their guru and the mantra he has given is deemed an avaishnava, a non-Vaishnava. Therefore, because Subodh Babu has given up his guru, he has been included in the category of the Avaishnavas. So there is no fault to view him in terms of his caste. Rather, the truth will be safeguarded by using the proper words to describe what is. Legally and religiously speaking, concealing the truth is a punishable offense. This is what Param Gurudev is very particular on, and what there is definitely an attack of in this age of Kali. The truth. And using the proper language, not just flowery, poetic language to appease everyone, but the actual accurate language. It is needless to say that if it suits him, Subodh Babu does not hesitate to give up his guru again and again. Initially, he gave up his family, Jati Goswami Guru, and took shelter of the Gaudiya Math. Later, he gave up the practices and conceptions of the Gaudiya Math and surrendered to Ananta Vasudeva Vidyabhushan Mahārāja. After that, he began following Haridas Babaji of Haribol Kutir. After some time, he also gave him up as well externally. At present, he is living in some unknown whereabouts in Navadvip, running after his family guru again. And I believe his family guru was Kanupriya Goswami. I find it interesting that Param Gurudev also moved to Navadvip. I feel like Param Gurudev moved to Navadvip and established a mat there, almost to like chase him down. Like, where is Sundarananda? Where is he running around? Where is he hiding? The siddhanta of such a guru tyagi, guru renouncer, can never stay the same. Guru is heavy. It gives you weight. It gives you firmness. It gives you some solidity, gravity. And Baladev Prabhu is the dham, the basis, the foundation. So without guru, if you're a guru tyagi, how can your siddhanta be the same or stay the same? Like a running deer, he roams hither and thither through various versions of truth and falsity. At one point, out of greed for the money provided him by Kunja Bihari, who was of the same caste, Sahababu worshipped and praised him, coming up with many inventive new siddhantas. Then, thinking that the Vaishya Saha family heritage was comparatively inferior, he became enamored with the glories of Ananta Vasudeva, who was from a Kshatriya Kayastha family. And he actively concealed Ananta Vasudeva's transgressions, resorting to total falsehoods to put profuse praise of him into print. After that, whether it was, this is referring to when Ananta Vasudeva left his sannyas and got married, Sundarananda continued to print praises of him in the Gaudiya magazine and other places. After that, whether it was because of a loss of faith in Ananta Vasudeva or because he personally lacked genuine gyan, knowledge and renunciation, he once again established a bond with, I don't think this is once again, he went on, he established a bond with Haridas Babaji of Navadip Saribol Kutir. At present, there has occurred an unprecedented iteration of the logic expressed in the statement, Yogyam Yogena Yujyate. Those who deserve each other find each other. Haridas Babaji, Ananta Vasudeva, and Sundarānanda. The three of them are like the 3 points of the trident in Rudra's hand, but with the aim of destroying Bhakti Tattva. These three have come together, consulted with each other, and in Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja's name, compiled 3 books. So three trident personalities and 3 trident books. Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, Gauriya Artin Thakur, and Gauriya Darshana Itihas or Vaishishta. Okay, so next, moving on to Ananta Vasudeva. Now we will provide some introduction to Sundarānanda's third guru, Ananta Vasudeva. His previous name was Sri Anantavasa Vasu. He lived in the famous village of Vajra Yogini in the Dhaka district of East Bengal. This is like the most Buddhist Sahajiya name actually for a village. Anyways. His father's name was Śrīyūta Radha-Govinda Das Babaji. Ananta Vasudeva introduced himself to everyone as the youngest son of this renunciate Babaji Mahārāja. Because Babaji Mahārāja's financial situation was rather precarious, he had Ananta Vasudeva live at the home of a prominent Sahajiya and teacher of the Pali language, Śrīyūta Amulya Charan Vidyabhushan Mahārāja. It was with this Mahārāja's all-round assistance that he had Anantavas taught till the IA stage. That's like grade 12. Later, by great fortune, Ananta took shelter at the feet of the founder of the Gaudiya Math, the crown jewel of Acharyas, the topmost liberated personality, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Srila Saraswati Thakur took notice of Anantavas's powerful memory and facilitated him in earning a BA degree. After passing his BA with the help of Kunja Babu, the impoverished Anantavas accepted a job at a post office for an ordinary salary. After some months, as per Srila Prabhupada's wishes, he left his job and became engaged in the service of the Math. His father, Radha Govinda Babaji Mahārāja, had been faithful to the Sahajiya religion for a long time. As fate had it, even during Anantavasa's education, he happened to be in the company of a full-blown Sahajiya, like Amulya Babu. If in the early stages of life, the poisonous seed of the Apasampradaya sprouts in a person's heart, it is very difficult to get rid of it. I have heard hundreds of praises of this Amulya Vidyabhushan from Anantavasa's own mouth. Maybe it was gratitude for having been raised on Amulya Babu's grain, or maybe it was because he received core formative instruction on religious practice from him. But Anantavas always had special regard for Amulya Babu. Impacted by Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada's limitless scriptural knowledge and powerful language, the sprout of Anantavas's poisonous Sahajiya seed could not make any growth. However, after the enactment of Srila Prabhupada's disappearance pastimes, the smoldering fire inside him that would burn up whatever he had of the current of pure Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava thought, ever so gradually became an inferno. I think I want to rewrite this a bit. The Sahajiyas explain that the very act of conversing and relating intimately with a married woman is itself transcendental Bharakiya Madhurya Ras. So these conceptions are so very dangerous, and a lot of it comes as Prakriti Sahajiyism is a combination of tantric, yogic, Buddhist teachings mixed with Hinduism, of course, and even a bit of Islam, or like Sufism. Well, I think both Islam and Hinduism were influenced by Buddhism. And so the Buddhism is, coming not only with this Shunyavad that then creates Mayavad, but also also an obsession with the tantric mystic siddhis, really just out of that same desire to compete with Bhagavan. So these things filter in different ways. Ananta Vasudeva, inspired by this notion deep down, was attracted to the idea of free, uninhibited amour. When Anantavas took shelter of Jagaguru Srila Prabhupada, he became known as Sri Ananta Vasudeva Brahmachari, and he became bound by a vow to engage himself in the service of his Guru Padapadma and observe resolute celibacy till the end of his life. Impressed by his external renunciation and scholarly brilliance, the devotees of the Gaudiya Math put him in the position of Ācārya. It is very difficult for ordinary conditioned souls to maintain the position of a Gaudiya Vaishnava Acharya. And that difficulty is exactly what took its toll on Ananta Vasudeva. The statements like this, I believe, are really compassionate. Parama Gurudev is very compassionate to the background that Ananta Vasudeva had, the samskars that he had, and that it was the prestige that they all, in a sense, he's taking responsibility for it. He's saying the devotees, we put him in that position of Acharya, and it took a toll on him. He couldn't bear that weight. It was almost like unfair of us to put that on him. Vasudev, so how compassionate that is. Parama Gurudev is in a way taking responsibility. At least that's what I'm, deriving from what I'm reading. Vasudev, taking the opportunity afforded him by the position of Acharya, would provide a profuse amount of bhajan shiksha to the learned scholarly ladies Srila Prabhupada had showed some favor to, like Asima, Nilima, and others. Later, because people began to listen to the various kathas Vasudev would speak, he made an act of assuming sannyas and concealed the name Ananta Vasudeva Brahmachari, becoming known everywhere by the name Shri Bhakti Prasad Puri. By the concerted efforts of Sundarananda and other excellent writers, Anantavas began to be popularized everywhere as being a very distinguished individual. As a result of this, one very learned young lady of the renowned Naga family of Dhaka district, who was a BA student at the time, became his disciple. He used to give her various types of confidential bhajan shiksha as well. Needless to say, this lady was a very qualified individual in every way. She came from a distinguished family, had a very noble and reputable character, and was very beautiful and virtuous. See, at times I've heard Gaudiya Math criticisms of Ananta Vasudeva where they slander his wife as well, where they call her an evil prostitute or something. Parama Gurudev does not take that. He glorifies her, that she was very noble and reputable, from a good family, well educated, very beautiful and virtuous. After receiving Diksha, she became known as Garima. Over time, as Garima received special advancement in bhajan from her Gurudev, her relatives compelled Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Prasad Puri Mahārāja to wed her. So this is a bit of a sarcastic thing. But so when he was behaving inappropriately with her, then her family members forced him to marry her. Once the marriage rituals were completed in Allahabad, he left his sannyas garb and accessories, as well as his sannyas name, etc., and turned back into Anantavasa Vasu. Even though Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja saw this spectacle with his own eyes, in order to protect the Sahajiya Dharma, he continued to preach that this was an exemplary incident in the life of a Vaishnava. Haridas Das. Seeing Ananta and Sundarananda's Sahajika Priti, or natural fondness for Sahajiya practices, who joined them like a bride in her finery? Haridas Babaji of Navadvip. He has published many Sahajiya books and created many new, never before published books, ascribing them to the names of various Vaishnavas of bygone ages. And he continues to do so. And through Anantavas, he publishes Vaishnava literatures, concealing all of Anantavas's previous names and calling him Puridas Gosvāmī. So we have these editions. They're actually quite nice editions of the books, but we do have to be careful with them because there could be interpolations. These books have not been printed for some innocent reason, embedded with a whole series of statements. Okay, they are embedded with a whole series of statements that encourage the Sahajiya train of thought and overturn statements that go against, and overturn statements that, okay, I need to look at this whole sentence. Forgive me here. That go against said train of thought. A whole new set of editions has been published in a whole new dhara current. So many people in learned circles eye these editions with doubt. So Param Guru is saying it's not just him, but so they look good. They look like critical editions. They're very nicely laid out and annotated, but we have to be careful when using them. These editions are distributed free of charge only among the Sahajiyas themselves. Not one copy has been given to the disciples and grand disciples of Jagaguru Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And they have pressured the people to whom they have distributed these books to make a pact to the effect that they will not show these books to anyone from the Gaudiya Math. The fact this is happening will allow the community of learned and intelligent readers to infer just how trustworthy the authenticity of these editions is. So, Param Gurudev, so we know that Gurudev inherited Param Gurudev's library from him, which was housed in Mathura, and then it was scanned, and so we have these books that he's talking about. You know, we have copies of them, and so it seems that if they weren't being given to any Gaudiya Math Vaishnavas, it seems that Param Gurudev would have had to go to some effort to covertly collect editions of these books and preserve them and study them for interpolations. Puridas's cleverness in compilation. Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja has compiled and written the book Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda using these editions. Of all the statements he has borrowed from Puridas Goswami's editions, we have compared a few of them to the readings in other editions and found many changes. Below I cite an example from the Tattva Sandarbha compiled by Puridas. Okay. I'm not going to read Sanskrit. We have compared this excerpt from Tattva Sandarbha with a very old edition of Tattva Sandarbha printed in Devanagari script, and with Satyananda Goswami's Tattva Sandarbha, which was published with the Bengali translation in 1318, and observed that the above excerpt does not match in 3 places, as we show below. It is needless to say that the Devanagari edition and Satyananda Goswami's Bengali editions read the same. So that's interesting, right? It's not just like scribal error, like all 3 editions have variations. So there was that, if all 3 editions had mistakes, then it just mean to be like scribal errors in each of them. Readers, note that the portions that have been left out of Puridas's version have been printed and provided below in clear, bold letters. So a very old Devanagari edition and then a more recent Bengali edition were the same. But Puridas's version, why it had specific, everything else is really well done. And then in certain places, things are tweaked just a little bit to start slanting the dialogue towards a certain conclusion. This was done like, this was like an attack done by like 1,000 cuts, you know? So a lot of the conceptions that we're still dealing with or battling from communities in Radhakund or even within our own Gaudiya Math communities, have been influenced by, the Tattva Sandarbha, or by the versions of the Goswami's books that were very subtly interpolated. So we have to be very, very careful. We have to go back to the original editions published by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, or even older if we can. There's this very kind of insidious, untrustworthy portion or period of publications in a certain period that are very dangerous, because they look really well done, they look very authoritative, they look like critical editions, but they've been altered very subtly. And so this is what Param is proving here, is a very important point. Okay, so in other words, okay, so when this is published, or you can go on bigdrum.us and look and examine the Sanskrit for yourself, but I'm not going to read that today. This is from the original editions, from the Satyananda and Nagari editions. In other words, the word sarva after the words yat khalu, the word sutra after words sarva vedartha, and the words purna soyam atishaya after the words garudecha have been left out of Puridas's edition. Now, at first glance, these don't seem so consequential, like what so big deal? This doesn't prove that they're sahajyas. No, but it's death by 1,000 cuts. There's many, many, many things like this that end up adding up to a very different conclusion. This gives clear indication that no book published by Puridas or Ananta Vasudeva can be accepted as authentic. Param is just being matter of fact, like that, those differences. As we said previously, Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda, the newly wedded Bhakti Prasad Puri, Puridas Goswami or Ananta Vasudeva, and Haridas of Navadip are conspiring together, publishing these are three very, very brilliant individuals working together, publishing various books under various names to undermine the Amnaya, sacred knowledge of the Sri Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Among these publications, there is a newly composed recent book, Tika commentary, by the name of Sri Chaitanya Madhamanjusha, published by Sri Haridas Das, which Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has mentioned on page 19 of his Kayakti Prarambhik Katha introduction, writing as follows. Now, when I first published this article series, I got some resistance from different scholars because Chaitanya Madhamanjusha is mentioned in Kavi Karnapur's Alankar Kaustubha. However, that edition of Alankar Kaustubha is from 1918. So, okay, it's before Ananta Vasudeva and Sundarānanda deviated. However, as Param Gurudev implies here, Haridas Das was active and inimical to the Gaudiya Math long before 1937. So it could have been him. It could have, I'm just, and it's not that they're the only Sahajya writers or scholars. So I never presented that argument, but so the Chaitanya Madhamanjusha, the fact that it's mentioned in Alankar Kaustubha does not prove that there was no interpolations early on in the 20th century. The Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesh Chaitanya verse at the start of Sri Chaitanya Manjusha by Sri Kavi Karnapur's Goswami Sri Gurudev, Sri Śrīnātha Chakravarti, clearly proves that the philosophy, okay, so this is Sundarānanda writing. It's published by yeah, this is Sundarānanda. So he's saying that this Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha verse clearly proves that the philosophy of the Tattvavad Guru Śrīmad Madhvacharya is different from Sri Chaitanya Chandra's philosophy. So it's really interesting how in order to establish that Śrīmad Bhagavatam is Advaitavad, that the goal is not Krishna Prem, in order to kind of, seed this Advaitavad into Mahaprabhu's philosophy, it was really essential to divorce us from the Madhva Sampradaya, because the Madhvas have presented the most fierce response to Mayavad. But with Mahaprabhu being, harmonizing things and bringing this Acintya-bhedābheda, there's some scope, there's some room. So hey, let's bring back Advaitavad. So this is why even Saraswati Thakur makes many statements that he was prescient of this, that he knew this was going to happen. He makes these statements about Madhvacharya, saying that Madhvacharya is the Lord of his life, his Prananath, literally saving his life. And in these dire days where there's darkness all around, it is Śrīmad Anandatirtha Madhvacharya who saves me from darkness. So Paramaguru, and the main purpose of this, because we're going to be ending soon, so maybe we won't all stay at the end, but the main thrust of this article is really to connect us back to the Madhva Sampradaya, that our connection to the Madhva Sampradaya is actually so deep, so intimate, and very rasik also. People like to criticize Madhvacharya that he was not Braj rasik, that he was worshipping Dwarkadish Krishna, or he had no respect for the gopis. These things are not true. And in time, we will publish very clear refutations of these. The work has already been done in Hindi, it just needs to come in English. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja references this statement in his second footnote. Okay, sorry. This was then that was from Haridas Das. I need to edit that. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja references this statement in his second footnote. Sri Chaitanya Matamanjasha, published by Sri Haridas Das, 466, Chaitanya-bhedābheda-vāda Navadvip. The thing to really pay attention to here is that the aforementioned Tippani Grantha commentary text was first printed in Krishnanagar. Okay, so this is back to Paramaguru telling where this was printed. By Sri Shailendra Govardhan Brahmachari at Sri Bhagavat Yantra Press, Bhagavat Yantra, which is run under the supervision of Vidyāvinod Mahārāja. There is no mention of a commentary on Śrīmad Bhagavatam called Sri Chaitanya Matamanjasha, written by Sri Nath Chakravarti Mahodaya, in any of the Gosvāmī's granthas, past or present. This text has appeared from the fertile mind of Sri Haridas Babaji Mahārāja, and has only first seen the light of day on Sri Sri Gaura Jayanti 466 Chaitanya-bhedābheda, or the Christian date of 28th of February 1953. We have previously stated that these three persons, Sundarananda, Ananta Vasudeva, and Haridas Das, have come together and are publishing various books to accomplish some ignoble aim in the distant future. Here we present to the readers some strikingly clear evidence of this. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja's Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book was published on 30th of Govinda, 464 Gaurabda, on Sri Gaura's appearance day, 9th of Chaitra, 1358 Bangabda, 23rd of March, 1951, Christian year. How is it possible that he could reference Sri Haridas Das's Sri Chaitanya Matamanjasha, which was first published on Sri Sri Gaura Jayanti 466, 1953, a book that was published 2 years later? So how could he make a reference from a book that was only published in 1953? In 1951, he made the reference. So what, he had access to an early draft? That just proves their collusion. We cannot even begin to understand how this is possible, right? Otherwise, how is this possible? But we do know from ancient history, here Paramaguru is being sarcastic, from ancient history that Valmiki Muni wrote Ramayana even before the birth of Ram. Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has referenced Sri Chaitanya Matamanjasha as having been finalized 2 years before it was actually written, finalized, and published. the fact that the book Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda references Sri Chaitanya Manjushā leads us to understand that Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda was published after Sri Chaitanya Manjushā. If that is not the case, then the date of Manjusha's publication mentioned is a mistake or printing error. Otherwise, Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda was printed later, and 464 was printed by mistake, maybe by the printer's error. Or page 19 of Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda's introduction was swapped out with the previous version of the page 2 years later and rebound. Or should we believe that the printing and publication of both books is correct? No matter how one may try to reconcile this, Vidyāvinoda Mahārāja cannot escape the fact of the sort of devious work he has done. Something fishy has gone on. Because, so he cannot escape this. Back to the devious, wait, where did I go? Sorry. Because this is a punishable offense. Whatever was done, we call it conspiracy, artifice, and suppression of the real truth. But the fact that he published a statement from the future, from 466 Gaurabda and 464 Gaurabda, and referred to it as something of a past year, is a sort of achintya, inconceivable feat, that goes well with the imaginative feats he has displayed in Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda itself. It is by such inconceivable feats that he has published Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, or rather, shall we call it Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, the doctrine of inconceivable oneness. You like those puns, Madhukar? So, yeah, there was a lot of interpolation that went on. I wanted to go back because I think we're going to be wrapping up soon. I just wanted to mention something that's, okay, maybe it's a little bit like conspiracy theory, but here Paramagurudev says that these three personalities have come together and are publishing various books to accomplish some ignoble aim in the distant future. In the distant future, not in the near future. But I find this is interesting that Paramagurudev believed that these personalities were not concerned with their immediate time period. They were concerned with the distant future. Why? I mean, everyone was aware like that this movement was trying to be spread to the West, right? Saraswati Thakur had sent people to the West. There hadn't been such widespread success yet. This is the 1950s still. So Swami Prabhupada hasn't gone. So these personalities like Ananta Vasudeva, Sundarananda, and Haridas Das, they were hedging their bets. They were, laying the groundwork for that when this movement would go. I think they predicted that, it wasn't going to be one of them. It wasn't going to be somebody in the Sahajya community. It was going to be somebody empowered by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, by Sriman Mahaprabhu, who was going to spread this mission all over the world. Therefore, there was a need to infiltrate the scriptures themselves and create these versions of books that would then lead to certain disruptions, just like we've seen with the whole controversy around the Jiva's Swarup. I find that very disempowering, that the notion that it is not fixed and that it can be changed by the guru is exactly what the Sahajiyas teach. It is disempowering to the self, to the individual. It disempowers the individual. It gives power, it puts power in the hands of potentially bogus gurus. I'm not saying that they're all bogus. There can be genuine, even Shri Anantadas Babaji from Radhakund, Gurudev would tell people not to go hear from him. But at the same time, he would come and pray pranam to Gurudev. I've heard glorifications of him from other Vaishnavas. In one way, he was maybe an exalted Vaishnava, unfortunately in a different line and having some different teachings. But we have to safeguard ourselves, especially, maybe he was bona fide, but are his followers bona fide? Is the next guru or acharya in that line bona fide? How do we know? And so I think it's very interesting. Paramagurudev mentions this, that it was for the distant future. They were playing the long game. And there's also there's precedent. It's not like completely conspiracy theory to say that that intelligence communities of the world were involved in this. So when Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj first started coming to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in Calcutta, Bhaktivinoda Asana there in Calcutta, Shri Kunjabihari Vidyabhushan had Shri Pranavananda Brahmachari, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, had him follow and spy on Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj because he was worried that Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, being so dignified and educated and poised and sitting there quietly, just eerily quiet in the back of the class of Saraswati Thakur, it unnerved Kunjabihari Vidyabhushan. And he thought he was a spy. He thought he was a British spy. And it's a well-known fact that the British brought in the American Secret Service as well, just before the separation, the split of India in 1947. And so the intelligence community within India was there's an intelligence community within India that was formed from the British and American intelligence communities. So that the intelligence communities around the world are kind of one network, and they have a certain agenda, and so there's I'm not the first person to say this, but it does seem that this Ananta Vasudeva and Sundarananda, that they were part of some sort of infiltration. I mean, it makes sense from a Siddhantic point of view as well. So we have with Shankaracharya, we have the very clear view from the Madhvas that he was an incarnation of this Yaksha or Rakshas, Maniman, and Lord Shiva. And his goal, his mission was to, during this age when the last leg of Dharma is truth, the real wars, okay, there's wars going on, but the real battle for Dharma is not fought physically. It's fought through philosophy and logic and through corruption of the scripture. And so it's very clearly stated in Mani Manjari that the Asuras, they conceived that the best way to hurt or hobble Krishna and Bhima or Madhvacharya, or Lord Shiva himself, would be to directly to attack. The Rakshasas always go after the Shakti of Bhagavan. They always go after Sita, so in this case, they're going after Saraswati Devi. They're going after the scriptures themselves. So it's the same thing that we see with these two personalities or three personalities. It's this interpolation, this infiltration or corruption of the Shastra. So if you weaken the Shastra, then you can weaken Bhagavan. Then you can present him as impersonal, as nirgun. So yeah. I guess it's 9:05. I guess you're leaving us, Madhukar?
Yeah, Shivasa, I'm going to continue listening on YouTube, so you can continue on.
Okay.
And I'm going to disappear here, but you can continue on as long as you like.
Okay. Yeah, so the next we're going to be going on to dive into the Shri Chaitanya Matamanjusha and Shri Srinath Chakravarti controversy a little bit more. And I'm just going to get a drink of water. I'll be right back.
This is page 46 of 272. So you can see it's quite long.
What's that?
I said this is
72.
46 of 272. Shivas, what do you plan on going through the entire Acintya-bhedāveda series? Like, not, I mean, I'm not saying just in this one reading, but like soon? Like in these next couple days or something?
Yeah, I'd like, because what I'm trying, if you see, I'm highlighting different sections. So I'm taking advantage of the Vaishnava's patience and mercy here to also um, do a proper edit of this, that the edit is read aloud and witnessed and everything. And actually the first 4 chapters of this are not that long. It's the 5th one. It's the last one, which is like almost half of the whole text. So I think we'll probably get through the first 3 or maybe even 4. And then tomorrow, if you want, we could continue on with the real kind of juicy part of the text. We could continue on with tomorrow if that suits you. And then if we don't finish it, we could come back to it after Prabhupada's Titi.
Yeah, and also you're free to use this platform like anytime, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't just need to be in the morning time, you could do it in the evening time or whatever time
Yeah.
works best.
Yeah, we'll see how long I can do and before I get exhausted. And
Okay.
yeah, feel free to stay with me, or if you guys need to go, no problem. It'll be recorded and be able to watch. You can watch it at your leisure, whenever. Some interesting the next point is also very controversial about the Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesha verse. We'll talk about that. All right. See you, Madhukaraji. Thank you.
Very well. And I'm still listening. I'm gonna be listening till our program starts. I'm just putting in my headphones and I'm going on YouTube.
Sri Chaitanya Mata Manjusha and Sri Śrīnath Chakravarti. Here we move forward to discuss a few points regarding Sri Haridas Das's commentary on Śrīmad Bhagavatam called Sri Chaitanya Mata Manjusha and its supposed author Sri Śrīnath Chakravarti Mahāshaya. Śrīnath Chakravarti was the disciple of Advaita Prabhu and is known to be the guru of Kavigarnapur. Therefore, according to the disciplic succession and timeline, he is held in high regard by the 6 Goswāmīs, and it can be assumed that his manifest presence was somewhat prior to theirs. If we imagine he had a very long lifespan, then he would have met with Srila Jiva Goswami. If Sri Chaitanya Mata Manjusha had been written by Srila Śrīnath Chakravarti Thakur, then Sri Chaitanya Mata Manjusha would have been the first tika on Śrīmad Bhagavatam in Gaudiya Vaishnava society. And this tika would have been everyone's go-to standard adarshan. Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, Jiva Goswami, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Baladev Vidyabhushan, and others do not mention this tika and do not quote any evidence from it. Still, even though there is no mention of this tika, no one has any disagreement about the fact he was a Pandit Ācārya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. Kavi Karnapur, son of Saint Shivananda, describes him as his guru, describes him as Śrīnath Chakravarti, as his guru in Gaur Ganadesh Dipika. Even though Śrīnath Chakravarti was senior to the 6 Goswamis in age, they are all contemporaries in one sense. Of this, there is no doubt. Śrīnathji does not mention any of Rupa and Sanatan's texts, and also does not quote from any of them. And surely it would not be natural for him to do so, because by age, he is an exalted personality of a somewhat earlier generation. Rupa and Sanatan also do not quote any evidence from Sri Chaitanya Mata Manjusha. They do not even mention it anywhere. No Vaishnavacharya makes any mention of it. It is only in the past 10 to 12 years that its existence has begun to be noticed. Because I have not seen it mentioned in any authoritative grantha, I am compelled to state clearly that this text is a new presentation opposed to pristine Gaudiya Vaishnava Dharma, and has been presented in order to firmly establish Sahajiya Apadharma. There is abundant objection to its integrity, provenance, and the acceptance of it as written by Śrīnath Chakravarti. Below, I am providing yet another reason for having such doubts. Right when the Tika commentary titled Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha was being stirred and shaken through the imaginations of our conspirators, suddenly another history titled Sri Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sahitya was presented. It had become an absolute necessity to compile this sort of so-called history of Vaishnava literature in order to set the foundation for the aforementioned Manjusha. We see that an article entitled Srinath Chakravarti in Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha has been printed in the 10th Pariched, titled Chaitanya Yoga Dharma, of Gaudiya Vaishnava Sahitya, on pages 110 through to 111. Though there is nothing written about Srinathaji there, what is provided is very specific information about this contrived Manjusha. It seems to us they came up with the idea of writing this Manjusha Tika and have put into print a brief introductory description or indication of it in this so-called history book as groundwork for what was to come. This error-ridden historical text was printed in 462 Chaitanyamda. Acintya-bhedābheda was published in 464 Chaitanyamda, while Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha came out in 466 Chaitanyamda. It seems clear that all these books were written around the same time. And the writers accept each other's authenticity. Furthermore, the writers accept each other's authenticity and quote back and forth between these texts. We are quoting from page 111 of Sri Gaudiya Vaishnava Sahitya from the 12th to the 16th line. He, Srinath Chakravarti, does not explain every verse of every chapter, but where he felt that Sri Krishna's preeminence could be undermined, he was compelled to establish Sri Krishna's superiority in those places. However, sadly, in his explanation of the verse, Ubaha Krishno Bhagavan Shri Damanam Parajitaha, he has written, Ityatra Shri Krishnasya Parajaya Shri Dama Bhane Anauchitya Cha Bhagavan Krishna Stoka Krishna Ityartaha. And this reading is opposed to the mat of Sri Chaitanya. Having printed this in 462 Chaitanyamda, later in 466 Chaitanyamda, when Haridas Babu was writing his commentary, he totally forgot to include the commentary on this verse of Bhagavatam in Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha. It is impossible to keep your head straight when undertaking a new publication of such a large scale. If that was possible, then how would we catch people's forgeries and slip-ups as they rush? Highlighting this for later. Sadly, the tika on that portion of verse from Bhagavatam, Uvaha Krishna Bhagavan Shri Daman Parajita, is simply not there in the text of Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha, published by Haridas Babu in 466 Chaitanyamda. In fact, you can see that there has not been a single commentary written or printed for the entire 18th chapter. This and various other discrepancies prove that this creation comes from that colony of conspirators using Srinath Chakravarti's name, and in actuality is not written by any reputable Ācārya of the past. So, just to recap. He writes, so he quotes from Srinath Chakravarti in 462 and has this line in it from him that then doesn't appear in the commentary later on when it's published later on. That seems to be a really unfortunate slip up for him. Maybe just, this is sometimes said that Saraswati Devi deliberately, like when Hiranyakashipu was getting his boons, that Saraswati Devi acted there and, covered his intelligence so that he didn't think to, completely protect himself. So this happens. Saraswati Devi will intervene, sitting on the tongues of the asuras, or in their consciousness. So now we're moving on to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's verse in Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha. I am briefly addressing one more point in relation to this commentary and concluding what I have to say on the topic. Where did Haridas Babu draw his inspiration from to write the Sri Chaitanya Matamanjusha commentary? This merits some investigation. There is a world-renowned verse about Mahaprabhu's philosophy composed by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that every person educated in the Vaishnava community knows. Said verse is quoted below. Aradhyo Bhagavan Brajesh Dhanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kashirupasana Brajavadu Vargena Ya Kalpita Śrīmad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhur Madamidam Tatradaro Na Para. Das Babu relies on this verse to write his Manjusha, and he has demonstrated a bit of etiquette by changing its reading slightly in the Mangalacharan verse of said Manjusha Tika. The verse he has stolen is printed below in the footnote. So the verse he's printed is a little bit different. In the third line, it says Shastram Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam, and in the fourth line, Ittam Gaura Mahaprabhus Matamadas Tatradara. So it's a little bit different. He will possibly say that Jagaguru Srila Vishwanath was the one who has changed the words and slightly and used it. So that Vishwanath Thakur took the verse of Srinath Chakravarti. But Srila Vishwanath, did not mention that this verse was written by a previous Ācārya. That seems unlikely. That Srila Chakravarti Thakur wouldn't, if it was written by Srinath, the names, this is also where the confusion comes from. The names are so very similar, Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti and Sri Śrīnath Chakravarti. So Bharam Gurudev is saying that it's unlikely, or it would be surprising if Srila Vishwanath Thakur quoted this verse, but did not mention who it was written by. This sort of argument will never be accepted in scholarly society. Whatever the case may be, Das Babu has gone to great lengths to ensure his book becomes accepted in the Vaishnava community. If he wrote and published this sort of Sahajiya book in his own name, pure Vaishnavas would never accept it. But if he gives another name, that of a Vaishnava of the past, an obscure Vaishnava who hasn't been referenced, and prints his book, then everyone has to accept it. And thus all the ignoble aims of their group are achieved. Interestingly enough, when I've seen in the Gaudiya, there's an article by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. I've also published it on Big Drum. It's the reiteration of the Bhagavad. In there, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, it's his Vyasa Puja speech, and he mentions this verse, Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesh Tanyasta Dhama Vrindavanam, but he doesn't say it was written by Vishwanath Thakur, he said it was written by some Mahajan. So there's only two conclusions to come to from that. One is that Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur knew that there was some controversy surrounding this verse. Perhaps that he hadn't been able to find a direct reference. Like still I haven't seen a direct reference to this Aradhya Bhagavan Brajesh verse in any of Chakravarti Thakur's own books, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's own books. So maybe by this, but there have been books of Chakravarti Thakur that have been lost, or the of Baladevi Vibhushan that have been lost. No, yes, Vishwanath Thakur's Aishwarya Kadambini has been lost. It could have been in there. The other point is that Sundarānanda Vidyāvinoda was the editor of the Gaudiya. If he was already conspiring, even back then, or working with Haridas Das, then he would have edited that first portion of the Gaudiya without anybody really noticing or making a stir about it. And even if Saraswati Thakur said that this verse was from Srila Vishnu Thakur, then the other possibility is that Sundarananda omitted that when he was editing in the Gaudiya. Either way, it seems clear that Param Gurudev was very firmly believed that this was from Srila Vishnu Thakur, despite lack of evidence, written textual evidence. And this goes to the tradition of accepting the word of Mahajans. So books can be lost, can be interpolated. So often we actually give precedence, we give more faith to what we have heard from reliable authorities, who perhaps have seen the original authentic references in text. Srila Jiva Gosvāmī followed this same tradition in writing his Tattva Sandarbha. There were books like the Garuda Puran that were not available to him. So he relied on the testimony of Srila Madhvacharya's writings to verify and to validate his own writing compositions. Okay, so that is the end of the second chapter. And okay, so the next is a very lengthy discussion about Mangalacharan, the importance of Mangalacharan. And I'm still feeling some energy, so I'm going to read for a bit. Going against proper Shishtachar, etiquette. If we consult ancient religious literature, we see that every example of it has preserved the etiquette of including a Mangalacharan at its commencement. What to speak of granthas in Sanskrit, this etiquette has not been done away with in Bengali books, or of worship either. It is absolutely imperative to have a Mangalacharan for every auspicious undertaking. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita's author, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswāmī, Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat's author, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, Sri Chaitanya Mangal's author, Srila Lochan Das Thakur, and every other Acharya has offered obeisance to their respective Ishtadev, worshipful deity, and prayed for their mercy or proclaimed their glory and victory. Some poets have in some places not composed a shloka or payar for a Mangalacharan, but they have all demonstrated their honor for their deity or object of worship in one way or another. We cannot accept that Subodh Babu has demonstrated any sort of etiquette at the start of his Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book. Of course, we can see that at the top of the book's first page, Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata has been printed in very small letters. But is this Vidyāvinod Mahāshaya's Mangalacharan? What we will show here is that he has not, in fact, maintained proper etiquette with this line and done a Mangalacharan. The meaning of the words Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata. The purport of Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayataha is to convey a manner of prayer, as in Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga are forever reaping victory, or may Shri Gurudev and Shri Gauranga Dev have victory. There is no way of understanding from Sundarananda Babu's book what he means when he uses that phrase. And I am compelled to say with particular insistence that he has planted that phrase on the heading of his Asiddhanta replete book with the express purpose of contradicting it. The deceitful Daityas and Danavas and the Asuras who bear malice for the demigods and the rest of the world conceal their inner, secretive, and devious aims as they charm Shiva and other demigods with their austerities, whereafter they try to kill those same demigods they are worshipping. Vidyāvinod Mahāshaya or Subodhachandra Saha Mahāshaya has adopted just such a propensity in using the phrase Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata. So Param Guru is basically comparing what Sundarananda Vidyāvinod is doing here to the tactics of Bhasmasur, who tried to kill Lord Shiva with the benediction he got from Lord Shiva. As much as he has displayed a less than noble motive with the use of his own name to acquire prestige, so just as he's keeping the name Sundarananda, so he has displayed similar deviousness with the subject of this book as well, and in putting this title, Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata. He has written it and titled it Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda with the intention of destroying the Siddhanta of Acintya-bhedābheda and establishing Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda, the doctrine of inconceivable non-dualism. We see misrepresentation and artifice in his exploitation of the name his guru gave him, and we see he uses a misleading name and similar artifice with the title of this book. He even goes about establishing his siddhantas in a deceptive, artificial way, and demonstrates deception and misrepresentation as he lives and moves in society itself. So, is really lambasting him. Now I ask, who is Subodh Saha's guru? Whose glories is he singing? Whose glories? Shri Gauranga, who? From whom? Has he received divine knowledge? Or rather, has he made an actual attempt to attain that knowledge? Will we find any information about his Gurudev in his book? What sort of guidelines has Sri Hari Bhakti Vedanta provided regarding how one is to mention one's Gurudev's name? Does he know these rules? If someone's name was mentioned according to those, then we would understand that Sahaba Gurudev is such and such Mahārāja. Does he know that if he mentions his Sri Gurudev name, Shama, Yadua, Madhu of today, that it reduces Gurudev to the same level as everyone else?
Howdy, Bob. It looks like Shribas's internet cut out. Sorry, 1 second. I'm just in the middle of taking some facade, but I'll just see. I'm just gonna message Shribas right now, see what happened. There he is. All right. You're muted.
I said, you're still there.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit late. Yeah.
Okay, well, it seems like my internet connection. Okay, so that was my data finishing. And then I'm not sure. Is this connection okay? You can hear me? It seems to be okay.
Yeah, seems okay.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'll keep going then.
I can put some data on your phone also if that would be helpful.
Oh, I can do that too.
Yeah, but you're reading.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. He owns the phone number.
Yeah, I'll do that while you're reading it, just so you have explain.
What is a Mangala Charan or proper
Can you share your
etiquette?
screen again?
What's that?
Can you share
my
this?
screen. Yeah. So what is a Mangala Charan? Or what is proper etiquette? Did he not learn proper etiquette as taught in the Shastras? If he cannot learn this small etiquette, then it would have been better for him not to have the audacity. If he cannot learn this small etiquette, then it would be better for him not to have the audacity to write books on grave subject matters. The Asuras and Daityas do a great many deeds, but we look upon all of it with disdain. Being like a mother and trying to force poison into Krishna's mouth like Putana did is extremely wicked business. Vaishnavas have no disagreement on that. Only the Asuras experience boundless bliss and feel pride to see that Putana attained the position of nurse to Krishna in Goloka. The pure Saraswata Vaishnavas consider this the fitting destination of an asura and do not give it much regard. But Sahajiyas are enamored with that and become engaged in Putana's service. It's an interesting comment on the fate of the bogus guru. And I mean, in one way, the Leela of Putana is to encourage us to at least wear Vaishnava dress. That if we're dressed, at least if we're dressed as a Vaishnava, even if our heart is impure, Putana or Krishna will have mercy on us and at least give us a chance or a position in his service. But we should try for more than that. We should try to be more than just dressed up devotees. We should try to really develop higher levels, aim for the love of Krishna's intimate associates, like the Gopas and Gopis. We will discuss Sahababu's abandonment of his guru later on at the appropriate place. Only one who has attained special distinction in the realm of bhakti is a truly distinguished Guru Seva. Till this day, no conception has destroyed Gurudev's philosophy and been accepted in the religious world. No one in the religious world will approve of serving Haridas Babaji and serving or supporting Vasudev's, Puri Goswami's unholy wedding. If such despicable conduct is accepted in the religious realm, then what are we to call wrongdoing, unholy arrangements, and sinful activities? This is the danger with whitewashing all of this history today as well. It also really, any people who were negatively affected by what Ananta Vasudeva did, who lost their faith in their spiritual practice, who really doesn't take any of that into consideration, any of the damage that they made. Hiranyakashipu, Ravan, and other asuras had no shortage of erudition. You can get a sense of Hiranyakashipu's erudition if you study his instructions to the wives of Hiranyaksha after Hiranyaksha's death, as described in Bhagavatam. The Advaitavadis had become enamored with the discussions between the 10-headed Ravan and the Tathagata Buddha in Langavatar Sutra. Are mental acrobatics devoid of any real character or conduct to be considered bhakti? Are any mental acrobatics that are devoid of any real character or conduct to be considered bhakti? Does working out or exerting the mind to generate dozens of spurious arguments like charava constitute bhakti? The devil can quote scripture too. Does that make his propositions acceptable to sadhaks? The authors of scripture give no value to preaching that lacks proper conduct. I beg Sahababu to follow the instruction of Srila Sanatana Goswami in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Apane Ācārya keho ke na kare prachar, prachar kare na keho na kare na Ācārya. Ācārya prachar namer kara hadoi karya. Tumi sarva guru tumi jagatera arjan. What is the point of giving up the etiquettes of the Diksha Sanskars and other traditions and becoming a barbarian? This is not the translation, this is just continuing on. Guru Chari Gauranga Bhaje Se Papi Narake Maje. One who gives up Guru and worships Gauranga is a sinner who sinks into hell. Not a good idea to try to jump over Guru. Has Vidyāvinod Mahārāja forgotten this saying? The publisher's Mangalacharan. It is a stubborn fact that Vidyāvinod Mahārāja did not use the words Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata as a Mangalacharan. Though I have already proven this, I am submitting a few more points in this regard. Of the 3 trident-forming books he has wrought to destroy Guru Seva-based Bhagavad Bhakti, the other 2, besides Acintya-bhedābheda, have the phrase Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayataha printed above their titles and a Mangalacharan to start out their text. From this, we know that Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has not even taken Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata or Shri Shri Gauranitananda Jayata and other statements seriously as Mangalacharans. If his heart's mood had been that this phrase is in and of itself a Mangalacharan, then he would not have added Mangalacharans to the beginnings of the other 2 books. The authors of scripture and other such Mahajans have all maintained the standard practice of composing a Mangalacharan for the sake of proper etiquette. So with this book, he just puts the Guru Gauranga Jayata title, doesn't do a Mangalacharan. For the other ones, okay, includes a Mangalacharan, but there's no consistency. There has to be consistency in every auspicious undertaking and composing an individual Mangalacharan for each. That's the proper etiquette. Even the publishers of Granthas include a Mangalacharan to alleviate obstacles in the publication process. These sorts of phrases are seen preceding the titles of books. They are accepted everywhere as the Mangalacharan of the Prakashak, not the author. So whoever put this, even the Śrī Guru Gauranga Jayata was likely put by the whoever was printing, typesetting and printing the book. So Param Gurudev is giving examples. Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Sitaramabhyam Namaha, Shri Radhakrishna-bhyam Namaha, Shri Hanumate Namaha, Shri Shivaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatye Namaha, Shri Narayanaya Namaha, Shri Durgaya Namaha, Shri Guru Charanarabindabhyam Namaha. And in the books presently under scrutiny, Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata and Shri Gaur Nityananda Jayata. These and other such phrases are generally understood to be the Mangalacharans of the publishers. If any exalted personality accepts these phrases as Mangalacharans, we cannot consider that a mistake. So that's an easy mistake to make. Okay, that this is Sundarananda's Mangalacharan. Even if a preacher of atheistic dharma does not accept these statements as Mangalacharans, that does not stop them from being classified as Mangalacharans. Still, they are the publishers' Mangalacharans, not the authors. Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda is published by Gaudiya Mission. So if Gaudiya Mission has inserted the mantra Śrī Guru Gauranga Jayata and published Vidyāvinod Mahārāja's book, then it is the Gaudiya Mission's Mangalacharan. However, there is a fair bit of dispute as to whether or not the Gaudiya Mission, registered, has the right to utter or use said mantra, because the current Gaudiya Mission has no relation with the old Gaudiya Mission's founder or with Guru Gauranga. Strong statement from Param Gurudev. Publishing this kind of book by Vidyāvinod Mahārāja, a book that is rooted in malice towards Guru, is pure antagonism of the statement Śrī Guru Gauranga Jayata, let there be victory for Śrī Guru and Gauranga. Whatever the case may be with that, the publisher's Mangalacharan cannot be accepted as the author's Mangalacharan. In many editions of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, it is seen that the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya is printed at the beginning of the text. Then there are other editions where the aforementioned mantra is not printed, like the 437 Sri Chaitanya edition published by Sri Ananta Vasudeva Brahmachari with Śrīmad Gaudiya Bhashya, the Gaudiya Mat edition, and then 1288 Sala edition published 14th Jyeshtha from number 164 Maniktala Street, Calcutta, edited by Shri Upendra Chandra Mitra and published by Shri Bhagavati Charan Rai. Of all the editions of Śrīmad Bhagavatam available, at present, the latter, the one edited by Shri Upendra Chandra Mitra Mahārāja with Sridhar Swami's commentary, is the oldest. From these editions, it is evident that mantras like Śrī Guru Gauranga Jayata or Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya do not constitute the author's own Mangalacharan. In the aforementioned oldest version of Śrīmad Bhagavatam, the Janmadhyasya verse has been interpreted as Vyasa's Mangalacharan. And the editor, Mitra Mahārāja, has made this clear by titling the verse Shri Bhagavata Krito Mangalacharan. He has even excluded it from Śrīmad Bhagavatam's official verse count, designating it as the Mangalacharan. So the Mangalacharan is usually numbered as 0. Even though Mitra Mahārāja is a prominent Advaitavadi, he did not hesitate to accept from Vyasadev's Satyam Paramadhimahi statement that the aforementioned verse is the Mangalacharan to the text. Moreover, he did not think it necessary to include any atheistic Advaitavadi version of a Mangalacharan. He has accepted Śrīmad Bhagavatam as a distinguished text that propounds Advaitavad, and he believes that Pujyapad Sridhar Swami was also a teacher of Advaitavad and wrote Bhavartha Dipika with that intention. This is Mitra Mahārāja's opinion. And Sundarānanda Vidyāvinod Mahārāja has, like Mitra Mahārāja, followed in the footsteps of the Advaitavadis, echoing this belief throughout the text of Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda. So Param Gurudev is pointing to a subtle trend in the Advaitavadi community, which is to kind of downplay the necessity for proper Mangalacharan. In the Gaudiya Math version of the Bhagavatam, published by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, as he begins his commentary, he includes a lengthy Mangalacharan of his own. Whereas it seems that the more Advaitavadi leaning publishers kind of do away. Oh, we don't need this Mangalacharan. Why do we need to pray to someone else? If we are Brahm ourselves, why do we need to pray to somebody else for auspiciousness? So this kind of arrogance kind of shows through. Though the aforementioned edition of Śrīmad Bhagavatam published by Sri Gaudiya Math does not use the mantra Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, it has printed the words Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Jayata above the title of the book. This is conclusively not the author's but the publisher's Mangalacharan. Still, in his Gaudiya Bhashya on Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Jagaguru Vishnupad, Paramahamsa Kula Chudamani, Sri Śrīmad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Gosvāmī Thakur has maintained the proper etiquette and has first of all performed a Mangalacharan via a kirtan, glorifying the entire Guru Parampara. It's very significant Mangalacharan, actually. And here it is, Rukma Varna Gora Hari Nitya Dui Tanudhari Radha Krishna Ananda Chinmay Vibhava Samagri Nama Vishaya Shayadham Alambana Name Parichay Nitya Udipana Yoge Upadaya Rasa Hoge Chinvilase Matta Nirantar Aprakrita Rati Jushta Sadanam Rase Kushta Gaura Bhakta Sava Parikara Parikara Parichay Sambandha Stapita Hoy Tahalagi Paramparagan. I need to put a translation for that. Every commentator on Śrīmad Bhagavatam and all the Goswāmīs have accepted the aforementioned verse, Janmadasya, as the main Mangalacharan to Bhagavatam by Shri Vyas. They have even offered pranams to and sung the glories of their respective Ishtadevs, while writing their individual tikas on this verse. So they accept that verse as the Mangalacharan to Bhagavatam by Vyasa. That's Vyasadev's Mangalacharan. But they don't neglect to do their own Mangalacharan. The idea is that every person involved in the task has to do their own Mangalacharan. You have to pray for your own auspiciousness. You can't piggyback off of anyone else's prayers for auspiciousness. Mangalacharan in the Vedas and Upanishads. So that means that when Madhukar does his Mangalacharan at the beginning of our programs, I should also, when I start speaking, I should do my. We also see the use of Mangalacharan in all ancient scriptures, both those that are aporushaya, not of mortal origin, and those that are porushaya, of man-made origin. Oh, this is a continuation of that Parampara Kirtan. So this is, it's different. What is it?
Yeah, it's very interesting, huh?
Oh wait, it's that, okay, so no, this is the same from here onward, from Krishna Hoy, there's a Krishna Hoy Te Chatumukha Hoy Krishna Seva Mukha, but there's a preceding few verses or lines that we don't sing that are not included.
Yeah, very neat. And look, this is original how he originally ended it. Ami Seva Udasin Namete Tridandi Din Shri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Ihara Paramahansa Gauranga Nija Vangsha Tadara Charane Mamagat. Yeah, it's beautiful. And it clear, it's it's noted here from the edition published by Ananta Vasudeva. We also see the use of Mangalacharan in all. Okay, already read that. So all Mangalacharan in all the Paurushaya and Apaurushaya. So the Vedas are Apaurushaya, but then there's derivatives of the Vedas that are associated with different rishis. I guess the Upanishads are compiled by different rishis. Of the four Vedas, Rig, Raju, Sam, and Atharva, the Rig Veda is the oldest and is considered the original Veda. At the beginning of this Vedic text, we see the etiquette of Mangalacharan embodied and taught in the very first mantra, Om Agninile Puruhitam Yagyasya Deva Mrityejam Hotaram Ya Ratnadhatam. Rigveda, first mandala, first shukta, first rik. I praise the god of fire. He is the family Purohit priest of the sacrifice, as well as the intermediary Ritvik priest and the officiating hota. So the fire is the priest of it all. He is its presiding deity and has full claim to the finest of gems. Sayan Ācārya has written the following in his commentary to this. Agni namakam devnile stomi irastoti ra karasya lakara prapta. From this we can understand that the Rig Veda itself is performed a Mangalacharan by uttering the Omkar and praising Agni Devata. It is not that the Veda is itself trying to dispel any auspiciousness that might befall it with this Mangalacharan. No? Wait. Ah, okay. So those two sentences seem contradictory, but they're not if you read the next sentence. It must be understood that Bhagavan is uttering these words as teachings to the jivas. So I want to highlight this, see if I can make this smoother. We cannot take this to mean that Bhagavan is dispelling his own inauspiciousness with this Vedic Mangalacharan. If one does not maintain the Vedic standard of etiquette and perform a Mangalacharan, then one's work will be relegated to the non-Vedic Buddhist category of texts. That's Param Gurudeva's point, is that Sundarānanda has slipped towards this more of the Buddhist school. And when we're not talking about all Buddhists, we're talking about just the Shunyavadi Buddhists. We glean this implication from the aforementioned statement of the Veda itself. This tradition exists not only in the Vedas, but also in the Upanishads. The teachings born from the supramundane contemplations of the rishis as they studied the Vedas manifested in the form of the Upanishads. And there too we find that they all begin with a Mangalacharan. The Ishupanishad and Brihad Aranyak Upanishad share the same Shanti part, prayer for peace, in their Mangalacharan. Om Purnamada Purnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The Shanti part type of Mangalacharan found in the Mundaka Upanishad, Prajñāna Upanishad, and Nishingatapani is as follows. Om Bhadram Karnebhya Shrunuyama, etc. In Aitareya Upanishad, Kaushitiki Upanishad, Mudgala Upanishad, and others, we see Om Bangme Manasiti Shanti. The Shanti part invoked in the Katha and Shvetashvatar Upanishads is of the same variety. Om Sahanavavatu, Saha Nao Bhunaktu, Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Mangalacharan of the Sutrakars. The 6 darshans, philosophies of India, are recorded in sutra aphorism form. I will discuss the topic of Nyaya philosophy later, but for now, a review of the 5 darshans, Sankhya, Patanjal, Vaisheshik, Purvamimamsa, and Uttaravimamsa, reveals that each of them has included a Mangalacharan via the word Atha. As the Vedas, Upanishads, and their corollaries perform Mangalacharan via the word Om, the authors of the sutras have done their Mangalacharan simply with the word Atha. The first sutra of Kapila's Sankhya Darshan is Atha Trivida Dukkha Tyanta Nivrittira Tyanta Purushartha. Here the word Atha is interpreted as a Mangalacharan, as Ācārya Vijnana Bhikshu writes in his commentary to this sutra. Atha Shabdoyam Ucharana Matrena Mangala Rupa. In Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, we see Atha Yoga Shasanam. The fact that the word Atha in this first sutra of the Yoga Darshan is meant to be a Mangalacharan is clearly proven in the Tika of Vachaspati Mishra. Athaisha Jyotir Atibat Natvanant Aryartha Adikararthasya Cha Artha Shabdasyanyartham Niyamanodakumbha Darshanamiva Shavanam Mangalayo Kalpata Iti Mantavyam. The first sutra of Karnad's Vaisheshika Darshan is Athato Dharamam Vyakyasyamam. And again, in the first sutra of Jaimini's Purvamimamsa, Athato Dharma Jigyasa, we see a Mangalacharan via the word Athat. In the foremost of these darshans, Krishna Daipa and Veda Vyasa's Uttaramimamsa, we see the first sutra of Vedanta darshan is Athato Brahma Jigyasa. All the acharyas have accepted the word Atha in Vedanta to be a Mangalacharan. Of all the sutra texts, Brahma Sutra is the one that delivers to us Sambandha Gyan. Then, for the perspective of Abhidheya Tattva, in Shandilya Rishi's sutras, we see Athato Bhakti Jigyasa. And from the Prayojan Tattva angle, again, we find a Mangalacharan via the word Atha in Narad's Bhakti Sutras, Athato Bhaktim Vyakyasyamaham. Even Panini Rishi has written Atha Shabdhanushasanam in his first sutra. Therefore, we see that as the authors of the sutras proceeded to describe their respective conclusions in extreme brevity, they channeled the depth of sentiment in their hearts into a Mangalacharan via the word Atha. In some places, in the Vedas, Upanishads, and other similar literatures, the Mangalacharans are performed with the Om Bij mantra. All these examples indicate that a Mangalacharan is imperative at the start of any grantha.
Shivas, I made you the host now. I'm taking up to the program now, but I put 5 GB data on your phone. So if anything ever happens, then you got
Okay. Yeah, because this one's not always reliable. Thank you.
no problem. Haribol. I'm gonna still be listening on my way to the program on YouTube.
So we'll just read a bit more. I think we'll read until 10 and then I'll conclude there. So discernment of Namaskar in the Katantra. The author of the Katantra performs his Mangalacharan not with Atha, but with the word Siddhi. The commentators on the Katantra, otherwise known as the Katantra, which is also known as Kalapa Vyakaran. So the commentators on the Katantra have written extensively on the use of the word Siddhi. Of them, the Panjika Tika by Trilochana and Komari Tika by Abrata Tarka Chudamani are notable in this regard. We request Vidyāvinod Mahārāja to study the critical analysis of Mangalacharan performance these commentators have provided, which includes quotations of all the arguments against performing a Mangalacharan. Though this study of theirs was printed along with the main text of Kalapa Vyakaran, it has been published separately by Ishvara Chandra Tarka Vagisha in 1306 Bangabda under the title Namaskar Viveka. It states clearly there that if one does not include a Mangalacharan, one's text is bound to retain many types of flaws. It is evident to us that Vidyāvinod Mahārāja's book is full of many such erroneous conclusions, as outlined in the Panjika Vritti Vyakya and Kaumudi Tika of Katantra. Refutation of Dayananda's conceptions on Mangalacharan. In reality, it is not acceptable for anyone besides the speakers of the Vedas or Upanishads and the authors of the sutra text to perform a Mangalacharan with the words Om or Atha. We see the following claim in a book by Dayananda Saraswati titled Satyartha Prakasha. Performing a Mangalacharan by any shlok, phrase, or chanda other than the words Atha and Om is not endorsed by the Vedas. We deem this opinion of his to be the embodiment of atheism and a train of thought that is utterly bereft of Tattvagyan. In the sutra style, the verbosity of the mind is restrained, and instead, a profound and expansive truth is fully expressed in a few words. Therefore, if putting the full emotion of the heart into verse form and conveying one's faithful offering to one's cherished deity cannot be accepted as a Mangalacharan, then what are we to call a Mangalacharan? What else is to be considered an expression of honor and proper etiquette? Swami Dayananda's opinion is very laughable and wholly rejectable, because the Vedas and Upanishads have clearly not performed their Mangalacharans only with the word Om. As for the Sutrakars, it is only because their mode of presentation is so constrained that they do their Mangalacharans with the word Atha. Our Vidyāvinod Mahārāja will possibly say, where is the proof that we have to follow the etiquette of performing Mangalacharan? Even total atheists like Swami Dayananda, who are inimical to the deity form of the Lord, have been compelled to accept some manner of Mangalacharan etiquette. Subodh Babu may think that even though this is a long practiced custom, because there is no hard proof of it, there is nothing wrong with not honoring it. The reason we assume this is because he has already perpetrated atrocities against the Mahamantra, claiming without proof that Mahamantra is not to be sung and chanted aloud. This false statement is like dealing a blow to the form of Sri Nam with a mace. By doing so, he has become a Nam Aparadhi. We will, with evidence based on scriptural reasoning, refute the Nam Aparad conceptions disseminated in this Acintya-bhedābheda-vāda book by this stain on our community, Vidyāvinoda. Those who do not engage in loud kirtan of the 16-name, 32-syllable Mahamantra are phony, Nam Aparadhi ascetics. Okay. Okay, one more little section and then Sankhya philosophy on Mangalacharan. In the Sankhya philosophy of Kapila, we see evidence in support of observing the Mangalacharan etiquette. Mangalacharanam Shishtachara Phaladarshana Shrutitash Jeti. For the sake of observing etiquette and in order to see proper results and to honor tradition, it has been determined that it is imperative to perform a Mangalacharan. Thus, we see that the author of the aforementioned Sankhya Sutras does not disregard the custom of Mangalacharan either. And Vijnana Bhikshu also writes, Mangalacharanam Shishtachara iti swayam eva panchamadhyaya vakshiti. The sutra author himself explains in the 5th chapter that Mangalacharan is proper, customary etiquette. Vijnana Bhikshu has pointed this out in his commentary on the word atha in the 1st sutra. In other words, it is being clearly established that there is indeed a need to perform Mangalacharan at the start of any grantha. Perhaps Vidyāvinod Mahārāja will think Kapila's Sankhya is a Yoga Shastra. Why should we Vaishnavas accept his word? When it comes to the history of Indian philosophy, everyone unanimously accepts Sankhya Darshan to be the oldest. And even in Vedanta, Vyasadeva does not transgress the tenets of Sankhya in relation to the creation of the material universe. Even though it is an atheistic school of thought and its theories on sadhya and sadhan have been totally refuted, its statement, Mangalacharanam Shishtachara, has not been transgressed in any way. It's atheistic, but it's dualistic. Prakriti, it accepts the existence of Prakriti and Purush. It's kind of not entirely atheistic. Who can say that this statement was not made by the Kapila, who was the Lord Shaktavesh avatar, the son of Devahuti? According to Ācārya Vijnana Bhikshu, Devahuti Nandan Kapila is indeed the author of the Sankhya Sutras. These sutras are 22 in total. Their extension or explanation, the Sankhya Pravachan, which is comprised of 6 chapters, was composed by the Kapila, who was an incarnation of Agni. It is this Sankhya Pravachan that represents Sankhya philosophy in the current age. Vijnana Bhikshu states that the original 22 Sankhya Sutras form the basis of Sankhya Pravachan. Thus, we must conclude that the statement Mangalacharanam Shishtachara comes directly from the Kapila, who is an avatar of Vishnu and the son of Devahuti. And if one is to disregard the views of Vijnana Bhikshu, the ancient Shunyavadi preceptor of Sankhya, Gaudapad informs us at the start of his Sankhya Bhashya that Kapila Dev is one of the 7 sons of Brahma. If we accept Gaudapad's statement for the sake of argument, then the author of the Sankhya Darshan, Kapila, the son of Brahma, is a 3rd Kapila. This Brahmaputra Kapila would have to be different from Vijnana Bhikshu's Agni Avatar Kapila and Devahuti's son, Kapila. If he is Brahma's son, then those in the Brahma Sampradaya should not object to accepting his statements. Thus, whichever Kapila it was who made that statement, if it is favorable for Bhagavad Bhajan, then there is nothing stopping us from accepting it. And so it is 10 a.m. exactly, and I'm feeling terribly hungry. So I think it's just you and me, Narahari Prabhu. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. And maybe we'll pick this up tomorrow. And anybody else who's watching watching, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you for helping me echo some Vani of Param Gurudev today and serve his Vani on the auspicious day of his appearance. And I'll just do a little Jai Dwani, Pranam, Jai Shishi, Guru Gauranga, Gandharbika, Giridhari, Shishi Radha, Vinod Bihari, Jew Ki, Jai, Jai Nitilila, Prabhishtam Vishnupad, Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Jai Nitilila, Prabhishtam Vishnupad, Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja ki Jai. Jai Nitilila, Prabhishtam Vishnupad, Śrīmad Bhakti Prajñāna Keśava Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki Jai. Jai Jagar Guru Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Śrīla Prabhupada ki Jai. Śrī Rūpānuga Gauriya Guru Varga ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Shri Tribhuvana Mangal Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra ki Jai. Grantara Śrīmad Bhagavatam Shri Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari. Panchakalpatarupascha Kripa Sindhivaivacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo.
Thank you, Srivas Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
An amazing article. And
Yeah.
wow, so dense. And
Yeah.
wow. You become quite a scholar, and I really appreciate your research and editing and presenting what's important and actualizing it. So you mentioned that there are some could say, well, serpents of Sahajism are showing their face again. And the other thing you mentioned was that they play the long game. And I was just thinking of nowadays and like that, and how pernicious that could be, and under the guise of scholarship and like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that Param Gurudev predicted that he knew they were playing the long game. I just find it fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So you will go on reading tomorrow, or?
Yeah, I believe. And then we might have to take a break for Saraswati Thakur's appearance day.
Yeah.
But then maybe we can come back to it and finish up, because it's really, Param Gurudev really does end on a very sweet note. So it'd be nice to get there with everybody.
Yeah.
Well.
Sounds great.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Pranam.
Pranam. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Gurudev, Param Gurudev ki jai.
Jai.
Jai Prabhupada.